Chapter 125. Don't move. Luo Wuqing frowned and reprimanded him. Look at how badly injured you are. Why are you still moving? Hearing that reprimand, Ning Tian just smiled foolishly and looked at Luo Wuqing. Why are you looking at me like that? Wife, you're so nice. Ning Tian continued to smile foolishly. Luo Wuqing was stunned for a moment, and a blush flashed past her ears. She said calmly, I'm just afraid that it'll be a waste of Tianma cult's land to bury you after you're dead. Ning Tian grinned. His wife always liked to say one thing and mean another. Ahem, you two should be more careful. Don't be so lovey-dovey. Beside them, the Queen Mother of the West's jealous voice sounded. Also, what's wrong with you, Ancestral Master? I was just about to take a bath when I was pulled here. You must be the one behind all this, right? Take a bath? Take a bath? Hearing that, Ning Tian was stunned for a moment. He was glad that he did not summon the Queen Mother of the West when she was taking a bath. Otherwise, if he summoned a naked Queen Mother of the West, he would probably be beaten up by two great emperors. One was Luo Wuqing, and the other was an embarrassed and angry Queen Mother of the West. However, he did not know how to explain the Queen Mother of the West's words. This great emperor summoning card was very cool to use. However, it was a bit difficult to explain. However, it was really cool. Just when Ning Tian was in a dilemma, Luo Wuqing spoke up to solve his problem. Ning Tian has his ways. All right, let's end this matter for now. Don't mention it again. Hearing that, the Queen Mother of the West narrowed her eyes. In her heart, she felt that Ning Tian was getting more and more complicated. Ancestral Master, you really make me curious. The Queen Mother of the West's eyes moved, and Ning Tian's scalp went numb, because he could already feel the death stare from his wife. He only hoped that the Queen Mother of the West would quickly look away. Otherwise, this jealous empress would not be easy to deal with. After a while, the Queen Mother of the West looked away and nodded. All right, I won't pursue this matter any further. However, Ancestral Master. Halfway through her words, the Queen Mother of the West looked at Ning Tian and chuckled. Ancestral Master, the next time you summon me, please don't do it at night. I like to bathe at night.
Haha.
Hearing Shi Wangmu's words, Ning Tian was stunned. Why did he feel that Shi Wangmu's refusal was actually a hint? Not good. The Queen Mother of the West was teasing him. Ning Tian came back to his senses. Sure enough, he felt Luo Wuqing's death stare.
Cough, cough.
Ning Tian coughed dryly and hurriedly changed the topic. I wonder if the Queen Mother of the West can save the Grand Elder of the Tianma cult? On the ground, the Grand Elder was covered in blood, heavily injured and unconscious. It was already a miracle that he was still alive after being hit by a god emperor. Since the Ancestral Master has asked for it, I naturally have to give the Ancestral Master face. The Queen Mother of the West covered her mouth and chuckled. When the heavenly music dissipated, Ning Tian and the Grand Elder's injuries were almost healed. The healing music performed by the Queen Mother of the West was much more powerful than Ning Tian's. Holy Lord! At this moment, Elder Qing Lin walked over and bowed to the Queen Mother of the West. Then, he asked, Holy Lord, Senior Sanqing wants to be buried together with Yao Xian the Great Empress. That's not a problem. The Queen Mother of the West shook her head and looked at Sanqing. Then, she said seriously, Yao Xian the Great Empress' soul is still in the tomb and has yet to dissipate. She left her last breath just to wait for you. Yao Xian. Tears flashed in Sanqing's eyes. He said solemnly to the Queen Mother of the West, Then, I'll have to trouble you. After that, Sanqing's remnant soul rushed toward the skeleton. Just as the remnant soul was about to enter the skeleton, he stopped and looked at Ning Tian. Ancestral Master, please don't disappoint my legacy. At this moment, he also changed the way he addressed Ning Tian. After all, Luo Wuqing was still standing beside him. Don't worry. Ning Tian nodded and said seriously, I won't disappoint you. Thank you, Sanqing said and rushed into the skeleton. The Queen Mother of the West also asked the Jade Lake disciples to lift the skeleton and prepare to return to the Jade Lake. Ancestral Master, remember to come to the Jade Lake to play. The Jade Lake disciples are all delicious hee. Before leaving, The Queen Mother of the West did not forget to tease Ning Tian. Ning Tian's face darkened. This woman will harm me sooner or later. Let's go back to the Tianma cult. At the side, Luo Wuqing said lightly. Seeing that Luo Wuqing was not angry with the Queen Mother of the West's words, Ning Tian breathed a sigh of relief. But at this moment, a soft and boneless cold hand came to his waist. She exerted a little force. Then, there was a scream. Honey, someone told me that I can't put my hands on my waist. This is related to the happiness of the rest of your life. Ning Tian touched his waist and said seriously, Oh, is that so? Luo Wuqing was thoughtful. Then, let's go somewhere else. Damn. Honey, why did you pinch my butt? Have we turned against each other? When Ning Tian and the others left, the Ill Wind Mountains were quiet again. However, there were no more mountains in the Ill Wind Mountains. Instead, it was an endless abyss. This was the product left behind by the War of the Emperors. Such products, even more terrifying, were everywhere in the Tianqin world. After returning to the Tianma cult, when the disciples of the Tianma cult learned that it was not the mausoleum of the celestial venerables, but the mausoleum of the great emperor, they were all excited. That was the mausoleum of the great emperor. It was far more dangerous than the mausoleum of the celestial venerables. However, when they saw that Ning Tian came back safe and sound, they all breathed a sigh of relief. It was good that the patriarch was fine. They also admired Ning Tian even more in their hearts. How dangerous was the mausoleum of the great emperor? Although they had never seen it, they had heard about it. But they had to admit that the patriarch was really awesome. He could come out of the mausoleum of the great emperor unscathed. After Ning Tian returned to the Tianma cult, after the teacher sent the Grand Supreme Elder, who was still in a coma, back to his residence, he tiredly rushed towards his and Luo Wuqing's small residence. On this trip, he had brushed shoulders with death several times. But fortunately, the harvest was also very good. When he returned to the small residence and saw Luo Wuqing sitting at the table, tidying up her appearance, he couldn't help but sigh. Sure enough, no matter in which world, women love to be beautiful. Looking at that slim and beautiful figure, his heart itched as if ants were crawling over it. Ning Tian walked over and hugged Luo Wuqing's soft and slender waist from behind. Wife, did you miss me? Luo Wuqing didn't struggle and said lightly, No, you really don't. Ning Tian suddenly attacked, and a smirk appeared at the corner of his mouth. No, I don't. A blush appeared on Luo Wuqing's earlobes. This guy was up to no good again. I don't care if you miss me or not. I miss you anyway. A hint of mockery flashed in Ning Tian's eyes. Luo Wuqing's eyes evaded his. Then, there was only happiness left. There was no scene. Chapter 126. On the windowsill of the small building, the candlelight was reflected. Two figures could be vaguely seen flickering, as if there was music. After a long time, Luo Wuqing blushed, pushed Ning Tian away, and rolled her eyes at him. That's it. Ning Tian smiled, quickly put on his clothes, and then turned to look at Luo Wuqing, who was covering her body with the quilt, and said with a smirk, Wife, why don't you put on your clothes? How about I help you? Get lost. A few black lines appeared on Luo Wuqing's forehead, and then she rolled her eyes. Her gaze was extremely flirtatious and enchanting. Ning Tian's flame, which had been extinguished with great difficulty, was reignited once more. You, turn around. Luo Wuqing glanced at Ning Tian. I'm going to put on my clothes, huh? What are you doing? Why are you taking off your clothes? Hey. Half an hour later, the two of them put on their clothes, and Ning Tian sat on the side with a happy face, which made Luo Wuqing clench her teeth. This guy, is he an animal that doesn't know fatigue? Ning Tian smiled and looked at the storage ring on his hand. The matter was done, and the fun was over. He just wanted to see what good things were in the storage ring given to him by Sansheng. At this time, Luo Wuqing glanced at the storage ring. This thing, is it given to you by Sansheng? Well, yes. Is there a problem? Ning Tian nodded doubtfully. What good things can that guy have? You'd better be mentally prepared. Luo Wuqing said lightly. No way. Ning Tian was shocked, took a deep breath, and immediately, his consciousness entered the storage ring. A huge storage space appeared in front of him. The space in this storage ring was very large, and at a glance, it was really empty. In the entire storage space, there was nothing. There was only dust on the ground. F***CK. Sansheng, that old bastard, tricked me? Seeing this empty storage space, there was no treasure in Ning Tian's imagination. Ning Tian thought back to how 3 Saint Great Emperor had patted his chest and said confidently that there was definitely something good inside. Ning Tian was furious. I was too careless. Ning Tian gritted his teeth. He had always been tricking others. He didn't expect that he was tricked by Sansheng. Suddenly, a golden light flashed in the storage space. And? That's... Ning Tian narrowed her eyes and walked towards the space. Could it be that the 3rd Saint Emperor had found his conscience and left something good for him? Puzzled, Ning Tian approached the golden light. Amidst the golden light, there was a huge treasure chest. It was made of simple and unadorned materials, and one could tell at a glance that it was extraordinary. Looks like the 3 Saint Emperors still have some conscience. Seeing this 3-meter-long treasure chest, Ning Tian breathed a sigh of relief. In a mausoleum, hiss, 3rd Sage Great Emperor suddenly trembled. Langjun, what's wrong? Beside him, Emperor Yaoshuan's remnant soul looked over, her beautiful eyes filled with confusion. I don't know why, but I felt a chill down my spine just now, as if someone was going to dig up my grave. Sansheng frowned and said, Pfft. Emperor Yaoxian smiled and looked at Sansheng. Langjun, you're thinking too much. This is the Jade Lake sacred ground. How could anyone dare to dig up your grave here? Hearing this, Sansheng fell silent. If it was a great emperor powerhouse who came to dig up his grave, he wouldn't believe it. But if it was that kid, the Queen Mother of the West might really let him dig it up. All right, Langjun. Emperor Yaoshuan's remnant soul floated over. Our souls are about to dissipate. Let's spend our last moments with each other. Emperor Yaoshuan's words were a little lonely. Her remnant soul held on for a long time. Fortunately, they managed to hold on until the 3rd Sage Emperor arrived. Yeah. Hearing this, Sansheng nodded heavily. Chapter 127. A few days passed in the blink of an eye. At first, everything was peaceful. However, a celestial venerable flew over the chilly wind mountain range and saw the scene below. In an instant, the peace was broken. It happened almost overnight. When the news of the chilly wind mountain range becoming the chilly wind abyss spread, the entire celestial spirit region was in an uproar. Some sects sent their forces to investigate. They could even feel the powerful aura of the great emperors that had yet to dissipate from the abyss. It was obvious. 2 great emperors had fought in the chilly wind mountain range. Even the emperor's might that was left behind was enough to make ordinary divine emperors tremble. Just as everyone was guessing the identity of the 2 great emperors who were fighting, there was a piece of news. The ones who fought were Empress Luo Wuqing of the Tianma cult and Emperor Zhengtian of the Righteous Alliance, 2 peak great emperors. However, Righteous Heaven Emperor had only used 60% of his power to summon his avatar. In the end, this shadow clone was mercilessly killed by the Empress. The initial shock had yet to dissipate. When the news that the celestial venerable tomb in the chilly wind mountain range was actually the tomb of a great emperor, and that the legendary patriarch of the Tianma cult had obtained the great emperor's inheritance, the people who were already shocked were stunned again. It was actually a great emperor's tomb? There was even a great emperor's inheritance? This made many great emperors beat their chests and stomp their feet in regret. They had missed the opportunity to obtain the great emperor's inheritance just like that. As for the Tianma cult, they would definitely have a bright future ahead of them. The legendary patriarch had monstrous talent and had obtained the great emperor's inheritance. If there were no accidents, the Tianma cult would probably recreate the glory of the 2 great emperors from hundreds of years ago, although many people were still jealous of the great emperor's inheritance. However, when they thought of the current state of the chilly wind mountain range, those jealous people swallowed their saliva and looked terrified. If they wanted to touch the patriarch of the Tianma cult, they had to defeat the empress. However, how could a great emperor be defeated so easily? Therefore, they could only be envious and jealous. Celestial Spirit Region's Central Province, the Righteous Alliance.
Ah,
Damn it! A furious voice swept through the entire Righteous Tao Alliance. The disciples and elders of the various sects of the Righteous Tao Alliance all looked at a celestial mountain in horror. It seemed that the recent rumors had made that person very unhappy. After all, even though it was only a doppelganger that was killed, it was still a loss of face. Everyone sighed. He didn't dare to say anything. Righteous Tao Sect, Immortal Mountain. Inside the secret room, a cold light flashed through Emperor Jingtian's eyes. He punched the stone wall heavily. Boom. Although he didn't use any spiritual energy, just the strength of his physical body was enough to make the stone walls of this special secret chamber shake violently. Rumble. Damn it! Tianma cult, sooner or later I'll get rid of you. Emperor Jingtian's eyes flashed with a cold light. His words were filled with killing intent. At this time, in the center of the secret room, a crystal ball flickered. Following this, a blue figure appeared. It was a man with sharp eyebrows and starry eyes. His slightly furrowed eyebrows revealed a majestic aura. It seems that Emperor has come at a bad time. He frowned and looked at Emperor Zhengtian. Oh, Emperor Sushan, you've come out of seclusion? Hearing the voice, the anger on Emperor Zhengtian's face dissipated, and he returned to his calm appearance. It's still early. Emperor Sushan shook his head. His eyes flashed. Hurry up. Emperor Zhengtian frowned. He couldn't wait to get rid of the Tianma cult. Get rid of the Tianma cult. With the strength of the Righteous Tao Alliance, they would be able to stabilize their position as the leader of the Tianling region. Are you anxious? Emperor Sushan looked at Emperor Zhengtian indifferently. The Queen Mother of the West of the Jade Lake Sacred Ground has been close to the Tianma cult recently. If those two women really work together, won't our plan be ruined when two emperors fight against two emperors? Emperor Zhengtian frowned. Their plan was to use the number of emperors to decide the outcome of the battle. If the Queen Mother of the West was involved, wouldn't it be disastrous? Ha ha ha. Emperor Sushan laughed when he heard this. Emperor Zhengtian frowned slightly. He was a little displeased. Zhengtian, do you know why I'm still in seclusion? Emperor Sushan narrowed his eyes and looked at Emperor Zhang. What do you mean? Emperor Zhengtian was stunned. Because I vaguely touched upon that realm, Emperor Sushan said slowly. What? Emperor Jingtian gasped. He naturally knew what realm the empty god emperor was talking about. But you haven't become a god's guide, and you haven't participated in the battle of the gods. How can you touch the god realm? Emperor Zhengtian's eyes were filled with confusion. Of course, it's not really the god realm. The void god emperor smiled. I call it a false god. It doesn't have the power of the god realm, but it's slightly stronger than emperors. False. False god? Emperor Jingtian was stunned. In the Jade Lake Sacred Ground, Emperor Sushan smiled sinisterly. Don't worry. Before we act, I have a way to stop the Jade Lake Sacred Ground. What method? Emperor Zhengtian's eyes flashed with confusion. There's a secret in the Jade Lake Sacred Ground. Even my void god Heaven Palace knows about it. It's a big secret. Haha. Emperor Sushan sneered. The Jade Lake Sacred Ground thinks it's a secret, but they don't know that one of the emperors who killed the Jade Lake Sacred Ground 100 years ago on the ancient road to godhood was an emperor from my void god Heaven Palace, although he also fell on the ancient road. However, our void god Heavenly Palace knows about this secret. Emperor Jingtian frowned slightly. Big secret? What secret? You don't need to know. Emperor Sushan waved his hand. However, shouldn't we raise the price of our cooperation? What do you want? Emperor Jingtian asked. Emperor Sushan slowly extended a finger. I want a spot in the battle of the gods in the heavenly spirit domain. What? Doesn't your void god Heaven Palace already have one in the firmament territory? Emperor Jingtian was shocked as he thought of a terrifying fact. He sucked in a breath of cold air. Could it be that your void god Heaven Palace has two emperors? Not yet, but when the heavenly Tao opens the ancient road to godhood again, That might not be the case, Emperor Su Shun said with a smile. Emperor Zhengtian's heart shook when he heard this. Gritting his teeth, he hesitated for a while before nodding heavily. All right, I agree. Emperor Su Shun's smile grew wider. The heavenly Tao was the highest consciousness in this world. No one knew what was behind it. The heavenly Tao was in charge of opening the battle of the gods. Every time it opened, the heavenly Tao would give a certain number of spots to the ancient road to godhood. Every spirit domain had a limited number of spots. Emperors who couldn't compete in their own spirit domain would go to other domains to compete. The heavenly Tao had recognized 2 spots that couldn't be competed for. This was why Emperor Zhengtian wanted to destroy the Tianma cult no matter what. Without the Tianma cult, the Righteous Alliance would be able to secure their position as the leader and obtain a spot that couldn't be competed for. And he would be able to step on the ancient road to godhood with 100% certainty. As for the Void God Emperor, although he could snatch the spot, he wouldn't take the risk if it was given to him for free. Chapter 128. Tianling Domain. West Continent, Tianma Cult. On Moonlight Cliff, Ning Tian sat on the cliff, chewing on an apple. Below him, hundreds of Tianma Cult disciples looked at him in awe. Ancestral Master, can you tell us more about the great Emperor's mausoleum? A junior sister looked at Ning Tian, blushing. Her heart was beating wildly as she blinked at him. Haven't I already told you dozens of times? On Moonlight Cliff, Ning Tian frowned slightly. But we really want to hear more. The junior sister looked at Ning Tian, her eyes full of expectation. We won't get tired of hearing the Ancestral Master's story even if we hear it hundreds or thousands of times. That's right. Ancestral Master, please tell us again. Yes, Ancestral Master, please tell us again, please. The young men and women of the Tianma cult all looked at Ning Tian, their eyes full of expectation. These were all outer disciples who had just joined the Tianma cult. They looked at Ning Tian as if they were looking at a god. In their hearts, they worshipped Ning Tian. Some of the older disciples passed by Moonlight Cliff and shook their heads when they saw the new disciples. Newcomers are newcomers. They're not reserved at all. An older disciple shook his head and looked at his companion beside him. Don't you think so? Where did he go? But when he turned to look, his companion had already run far away. Hurry up. The Ancestral Master is going to tell us a story. I've already prepared a stool for you. His companion's voice came from not far away. We've heard the Ancestral Master's story dozens of times. Aren't you tired of it? The older disciple pursed his lips and quickened his pace as he spoke. More and more Tianma cult disciples rushed toward Moonlight Cliff excitedly when they heard that the Ancestral Master was going to tell them a story. What the Patriarch wanted to talk about was what happened in the great Emperor's mausoleum. Seeing more and more disciples gathering, and seeing the expectant gazes of the young boys and girls below, Ning Tian could only finish the apple in a few bites and reluctantly said, "Then I'll explain it to you again." Oh yeah, long live the Patriarch. The group of young men and women were extremely excited as they looked at Ning Tian. At that time, Next, Ning Tian began to talk. Of course, he skipped some things that couldn't be said. He spoke with great interest, tugging at the heartstrings of the group of disciples. After a while, when Ning Tian finished speaking, the group of disciples were all extremely excited. They looked at Ning Tian with eyes full of worship. Ancestral Master was so powerful. The Patriarch will always be a god. Ding. Faith energy absorption +1. Faith energy absorption +3. Faith energy absorption +2. Faith energy absorption +1. Current faith energy storage 850-1000. After telling a few stories, the disciples' reverence for Ning Tian increased, and the amount of faith energy they provided increased as well. He was only left with the last 150 to collect this level of faith energy. Okay, the story is over. You guys can cultivate. Ning Tian stretched and slowly stood up from the Moonlight Cliff. After speaking to the disciples, he activated the swimming dragon steps and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Only a group of disciples were left, watching him leave with eyes full of worship. Leaving the Moonlight Cliff, Ning Tian came to the Tianma cult's medicine refinery pavilion. Medicine Elder, have you found all the herbs on the list that my wife gave you? Walking into the medicine refinery pavilion, Ning Tian asked the old man in black. The 9 herbs needed for the medicinal pill formula that he got from Sansheng to improve the heavenly god's physique were definitely extremely difficult to find with his strength alone. Therefore, he gave the formula to Luo Wuqing and asked her to help find it. Greetings, Ancestral Master. The medicine elder first bowed, then immediately looked troubled and shook his head. There were 9 herbs on the list that the Empress gave me, and I found 7 of them. But there are 2 herbs that I really can't help with. Oh? Ning Tian frowned. Even the Tianma cult can't find them? The herbs needed for these 2 herbs are extremely precious. The medicine elder shook his head and sighed. One is the 9 phoenix icegrass. This herb looks like the legendary divine beast, the 9 phoenix divine bird. That's how it got its name. But the 9 phoenix icegrass grows in extremely cold places. It's rare to find. The second one is the thunder core fruit. I've never heard of this spiritual herb. So, I'm sorry, Ancestral Master. I can't help with it. The medicine elder shook his head and said apologetically, Medicine Elder, you don't have to blame yourself. Ning Tian waved his hand and frowned. He didn't expect the herbs needed for the elixir to improve the Tianshan body to be so precious. There's one more thing. I don't know if I should say it. At this time, the medicine elder said hesitantly, What's the matter? Medicine Elder, just say it. That is, I'm also an alchemist. After taking a look at the list provided by the Ancestral Master, although there's no refining method, I can't tell what kind of elixir it is. Ancestral Master, please don't take elixirs casually. Some elixirs are harmful to the body. The medicine elder said with a worried look. Well, Ning Tian smiled and comforted the medicine elder. Medicine Elder, you don't have to worry about this. It's just some health elixirs. I use them as snacks. Health elixirs? The medicine elder was stunned. Even if it's health elixirs, you can't take too much. For the future of you and the Empress, you should take less of these elixirs. The medicine elder couldn't help but have some doubts. Looking at the Ancestral Master's young and strong appearance, he shouldn't be unable to do that, right? Why would he need to take health elixirs to maintain his body? Ancestral Master, if you really can't do it, it's okay. I can also refine it. The effect will definitely satisfy you. The medicine elder said to Ning Tian with a serious expression. 3 question marks appeared in Ning Tian's head. What is it? What really can't do? Hearing this, the medicine elder revealed a smile that all men understood. It's that. Ning Tian's face darkened. He said in a deep voice, Don't worry, medicine elder. I'm fine. My body is great. After saying that, Ning Tian took the prescription from the medicine elder. But, Ancestral Master, your body is important. The medicine elder advised earnestly. Don't worry, I'm fine. Ning Tian couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with the medicine elder. Medicine elder, prepare the things that I need first. I'll come and get them later. After saying that, Ning Tian walked out of the medicine refinery pavilion. Looking at Ning Tian's back, the medicine elder couldn't help but mutter, Could it be that I was right, Ancestral Master? You really can't do it? Sigh. The young people nowadays are all good-looking but useless. A sigh sounded. It made Ning Tian, who was about to walk out, stumble in an instant. The medicine elder, this fellow, was really disrespectful. When he walked out, a fragrant wind blew. Ning Tian raised his head and saw Luo Wuqing descending from the sky. Chapter 129. How's it going? Luo Wuqing walked over and asked. I still need 2 herbs. Ning Tian shook his head. Which 2? 9 phoenix icegrass and thunder core fruit. Ning Tian spread his hands and said, 9 phoenix icegrass and thunder core fruit? Okay, I got it. I'll help you find them. Luo Wuqing's beautiful eyes flashed and she nodded. No, there's no need. Ning Tian shook his head and looked at Luo Wuqing seriously. Now you're in the teeth of the storm. If you make a big fuss and look for them, you'll inevitably attract attention. If someone thinks of something through these 2 herbs, it'll be bad. Luo Wuqing was stunned. Her beautiful eyes flashed as she looked at Ning Tian and said, "You don't seem to be so rash." Hearing this, Ning Tian chuckled. He had grown a lot since he came to this world a few months ago. "Anyway, if I can do it, I won't bother you, my wife." "Okay." Luo Wuqing nodded. "Okay, my wife. I'll go to the sutra depository first," Ning Tian said to Luo Wuqing, and then ran toward the sutra depository with the swimming dragon steps. Looking at his anxious look, Luo Wuqing was slightly distracted, and the corners of her mouth lifted slightly. This guy, Ning Tian, had indeed changed. In just a few months, he had changed completely and became more attractive to her. Now, Ning Tian had 4 great Daos: Entertainment Dao, Sword Dao, Palm Dao, and Fist Dao. The first 3 all had martial arts. One could use the foundation of martial arts to display the comprehension of the Dao. However, the Fist Dao did not have any martial arts. Therefore, he was going to the Sutra Depository today to find a powerful martial art that could complement Fist Dao. Sutra Depository. The last time Ning Tian was here, he had activated the heavenly god body and almost destroyed the scripture depository. Fortunately, the Luo Wuqing had appeared in time and saved most of the martial arts. The newly built Hidden Scriptures Pavilion still had 5 floors. However, Ning Tian looked at the opening on the 5th floor. The more he looked at it, the more he felt that it was specially made for him. "Greetings, Ancestral Master." "Greetings, Ancestral Master." When they saw Ning Tian walking over, the disciples around the scripture depository all bowed respectfully with reverence. "Patriarch has come to the scripture depository again. Last time, the Ancestral Master almost destroyed the scripture depository. This time, he won't do it again, right? Who knows? The Patriarch is even stronger now. With the Patriarch's level of awesomeness, he might be even more destructive this time. I think we should stay away from him first, in case he accidentally injures us." The surrounding disciples discussed in low voices. When he heard this, a few black lines appeared on Ning Tian's forehead. Why did it sound like he was the king of destruction? Patriarch. Elder Gu Han walked out of the scripture depository and greeted him personally. Seeing Ning Tian's aura that was not inferior to his, Elder Gu Han's eyes flashed with astonishment as he thought to himself, "Is the Patriarch 9 stars earthly monarch realm? That's King fast. He was only a 2 stars holy emperor realm. Did the Patriarch catch up to him in just a few months' time? Hiss. This is ridiculous. Ding. You have shocked Elder Gu Han. Reward function, Martial Arts Supplement. Martial Arts Supplement. Incomplete martial arts can be supplemented through comprehension. Martial Arts Supplement? Ning Tian narrowed his eyes. Patriarch, which floor do you want to go to? Elder Gu Han asked with a smile as the 2 of them walked into the scripture depository. This is the 5th floor, of course, Ning Tian said lightly. The 5th floor again? Elder Gu Han was stunned. Patriarch, please wait for a moment. To be safe, I will order people to clean up the martial arts from the 1st to the 4th floor. Then, you can take your time to mess around. Ning Tian. It seemed like the title of King of Destruction would never be removed from his head. Don't worry. Ning Tian sighed. Elder Gu Han, I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm just here to cultivate a martial art. Cultivate a martial art. Elder Gu Han looked at Ning Tian seriously. Patriarch, are you serious? Yes, more serious than a pearl. All right then. Elder Gu Han believed him. Then, Patriarch, you can go directly to the 5th floor. Hearing this, Ning Tian walked to the 5th floor with satisfaction. Elder Gu Han and the group of disciples were left in a state of panic. This time, the Patriarch shouldn't cause any more trouble, right? Chapter 130. The 5th floor. Ning Tian came here for the 2nd time. His gaze was directly locked onto the Earth-rank martial arts. It was a pity that with his current strength, it was still somewhat difficult to use the Heaven-rank martial arts. Otherwise, his gaze would have been on the Heaven-rank martial arts of the Tianma cult. The Heaven-rank martial arts were useless if one was not above the heavenly venerable realm. Because the power of the spirit chi was completely insufficient, it was not as powerful as the power of the Earth rank martial arts. Intermediate Earth rank, Demon God Fist. Low Earth rank, Rock Earth Fist. Earth rank, Pegasus Meteor Fist. Looking at these fist techniques and martial arts, although Ning Tian took a fancy to them, the attributes of these martial arts were completely different from the fist Dao that he comprehended. Sanxing's fist Dao was vigorous and powerful. However, he had also comprehended a layer of it. It was a domineering and violent fist intent. He had to find a matching fist technique martial arts, otherwise, it would not be able to display its effect. Ning Tian's gaze constantly swept across the martial arts. Suddenly, his gaze stopped at a certain spot. It was a martial arts scroll. His consciousness paused for a moment. The details of the martial arts scroll appeared in Ning Tian's mind. Intermediate Earth rank martial arts, Flame Tyrant Fist. Domineering and fanatical. This just happened to be in line with the fist Dao that Ning Tian comprehended. That's you. Ning Tian's eyes flashed with a glimmer of light. Immediately, he took out the Flame Tyrant Fist martial arts scroll and sat cross-legged. He began to comprehend. Detected the method of comprehending the Flame Tyrant Fist by the host. Comprehending at 10 times the speed. Immediately, the comprehension of the Flame Tyrant Fist appeared in Ning Tian's mind. Flame Tyrant Fist. Domineering and burning with divine flames. It was the Flame Tyrant Fist. Halfway through the comprehension, Ning Tian frowned. The method of comprehending the Flame Tyrant Fist was actually incomplete. There was only the comprehension of domineering, but there was no enlightenment of divine flames. Ding! Detected that the Flame Tyrant Fist is incomplete. According to the host's understanding of the way of the fist, it can be completely restored. Do you want to repair? The system's voice rang out in his mind. Repair it, Ning Tian said without hesitation. Repairing. Repair successful. Comprehending the complete version of Flame Tyrant Fist. Half an hour later. Flame Tyrant Fist successfully comprehended. Boom. From Ning Tian's body, a terrifying domineering aura burst out, instantly engulfing the entire scripture depository. F***A. The scripture depository won't collapse again, will it? Elder Gu Han and Elder Gu Yin shuddered in fright and hurriedly ran out. The faces of the surrounding disciples also changed. However, they heaved a sigh of relief when they sensed that the domineering aura only trembled for a moment before disappearing. Fortunately, it wasn't the patriarch who tore down the house. Elder Gu Han heaved a sigh of relief and looked at the 5th level. At this moment, Ning Tian was enveloped in a domineering aura. Elder Gu Han was stunned. That is, isn't the patriarch cultivating the incomplete Flame Tyrant Fist? Seeing this, Elder Gu Han was shocked. Flame Tyrant Fist? Elder Gu Yin was stunned. A flash of astonishment appeared in his eyes. That thing was incomplete. It was so incomplete that it could not be cultivated at all. Patriarch can cultivate it too? Both of them were shocked. On the 5th level, the domineering aura of the Flame Tyrant Fist was present, but it didn't have the divine flame. At this moment, Ning Tian was thinking about what to choose as the divine flame. You have shocked Elder Gu Han. You are rewarded with Sunlight Spiritual Energy Absorption. Sunlight Spiritual Energy Absorption? Sunlight? Ning Tian was stunned for a moment. His eyes lit up as a bold idea popped up in his mind. If he used the Sunlight Spiritual Energy Absorption as the divine flame energy of the Flame Tyrant Fist, what kind of effect would it achieve? System, you are a timely rain. Ning Tian exclaimed in his mind. System, host, the system has always been like this. However, please don't fall in love with me. I'm afraid that the Empress will pull me out of your mind. Ning Tian's mouth twitched. Can this thing really be pulled out? Then, he took a deep breath. Ning Tian looked at the sky. Looking at the burning flames, his eyes flashed with excitement. Then, let's begin. Ning Tian murmured. Then, he activated the Sunlight Spiritual Energy Absorption. Absorbing Sunlight Spiritual Energy Absorption. When the system's voice sounded, holy light shone from the sky and shone on Ning Tian's body. He started absorbing the Sunlight Spiritual Energy Absorption too. And this scene was also seen by all the disciples. What's going on? Holy light shone. Is the patriarch going to ascend? Could it be that he's going to barbecue the patriarch? The surrounding disciples were shocked. What is the patriarch doing? Could it be that he wants to tan himself so that he can become invisible in the dark? So that he can sneak up on the empress? A disciple analyzed seriously. The surrounding disciples were speechless. Although I don't know what's going on, it's enough that the patriarch is awesome. Some of the experienced disciples were already used to it. When the patriarch did something abnormal, they didn't need to know the reason. They just needed to shout that the patriarch was awesome. Chapter 131. Sutra Depository. 5th floor. Ning Tian sat cross-legged. Above the firmament, rays of sunlight shone down upon them. It was like a ray of holy light falling from the sky, turning into countless shimmering spirit qi and entering Ning Tian's body. Elder Gu Yin and Gu Han widened their eyes when they saw this. Is our ancestral master using the spirit qi from the sunlight to cultivate? Is that even possible? That's the spirit qi of heaven and earth. It's not something ordinary spirit qi can compare to. Both of them were shocked. The sun and the moon had spirits, and they also had spirit qi. However, the spirit qi from the sun and the moon was not something ordinary spirit qi could compare to. It was extremely difficult to absorb, and even if it was absorbed, it would be difficult to use it for oneself. It might even backfire on oneself. However, both of them were confused when they saw their ancestral master absorbing the spirit qi. Was their ancestral master not worried that the spirit qi from the sunlight would backfire on him? The surrounding disciples were shocked when they saw the holy light falling from the sky and shining on Ning Tian's body. They had never seen such a scene before. While they were shocked, they were also discussing it. What is our ancestral master doing? Is he really going to ascend? How is that possible? Our ancestral master is indeed powerful, but he's only at the peak of the Earth King realm. Ascending from the Earth King realm? Is that even possible? This is too amazing. Soon, the scene in the sky shocked the entire Tiamat cult. They had never heard of a holy radiance falling from the sky, much less seen it. Soon, many disciples gathered around the Sutra Depository. When they saw Ning Tian, who was shrouded in holy light on the 5th floor, their eyes widened. F***, what's that? The newly gathered disciples were discussing in shock. Keep your voices down, all of you. You're disturbing our ancestral master's cultivation. You little brats, just wait to be punished. Elder Gu Yin glared at the group of disciples. Hearing that, the disciples smiled embarrassedly and quickly shut their mouths. They looked at Ning Tian with burning eyes, and they were vaguely proud of him. As expected of the legendary patriarch of our Tiamat cult, just by casually comprehending a martial art, he was able to cause such a spectacle of divine light descending from the heavens. That was King awesome. Soon, many elders and disciples had gathered on the mountain peaks surrounding the scripture depository. All the disciples and elders of the Tiamat cult rushed over to witness this scene. Boom! Suddenly, an emperor's aura came from the sky. Everyone was startled. Even the empress was alarmed by this. Countless eyes fell on Ning Tian. Suddenly, a spark could be vaguely seen on Ning Tian's body. That's because the patriarch's clothes were set on fire. Soon, some sharp-eyed disciples noticed this scene, and more people followed. The flames were ferocious, and in the blink of an eye, Ning Tian's clothes were completely burned away. Those 8-pack abs were well-defined, strong, and powerful. Who would have thought that under that seemingly thin and weak figure, there was such a great figure hidden? Wow, Patriarch's figure is too perfect. I want to sleep on those abs. Seeing this scene, the eyes of a group of female disciples instantly lit up. Their little faces were flushed, and their hearts were beating wildly. The flames continued to burn. The flames appeared entirely because the sunlight's spiritual energy was too rich. Look, the flames are starting to burn the patriarch's pants. F***ck. I want to see the patriarch's big treasure. Hee. I probably can't compare to the patriarch in terms of handsomeness and strength in this lifetime, but it shouldn't be a problem to compare treasures. The group of male disciples instantly became excited. No matter how big the Kuan was, they still had to muster up the courage to compare sizes. The group of female disciples' faces were red, and their eyes seemed to be filled with peach blossoms. They shyly covered their eyes with their hands, but secretly peeked through the gaps between their fingers. The flames burned fiercely, and the clothes were quickly set ablaze. "It's on fire! It's on fire! Quick, burn it faster!" The group of disciples was excited. Sigh. Why are all the disciples of the Tianma cult such old perverts? Elder Gu Han sighed and looked at Elder Gu Yin beside him. Am I right, Gu Yin? Huh. What are you doing? Why are your hands on your pants? Ahem. Elder Gu Yin coughed dryly and said seriously, I have a strong desire to win, so naturally, I can't fall behind in this kind of thing. Elder Gu Han's face darkened. Under the gaze of tens of thousands of people, the flames burned fiercely. Oomph! Suddenly, a cold snort came from the sky. Then, the great emperor's aura came, and a huge amount of spiritual energy turned into a cloth that covered Ning Tian. In an instant, it was perfectly blocked. Sigh! Everyone in the sect sighed in disappointment. The empress's move was too timely. Dozens of minutes later. Ding! Sunlight spiritual energy absorption complete. In the sky, the sunlight's holy light dissipated, and clusters of flame-like sunlight's spiritual energy appeared beside Ning Tian. The system's voice sounded in his mind. You've shocked all the disciples. Rewarded skill. Great path deduction. Great path deduction. When divining the great path, it can form a great path dharmakaya and increase one's great path attainment to the extreme. Great path dharmakaya? Ning Tian was stunned for a moment, and a glint flashed in his eyes. Since it could be divined, he might as well use it. Activating great path deduction. Great path deduction has been activated. Immediately, Ning Tian absorbed the sunlight's spiritual energy, activated the Sanqing technique, and started to deduce the Fist Dao martial arts. Activating the Sanqing technique. Beginning to deduce the Fist Dao martial arts. Is it over? Seeing the sunlight's holy light gradually dissipating in the sky, everyone in the Tianma cult was stunned. The heavenly vision that lasted for more than half an hour finally came to an end. Phew! It's finally over. Elder Gu Han let out a long sigh of relief and grinned. This time, the ancestral master finally didn't tear down my sutra depository. F***ck. Before Elder Gu Han could finish his words, a voice suddenly rang out. Boom! Suddenly, a terrifying fist will swept through the entire sutra depository. Then, a huge golden figure appeared behind Ning Tian. It was at least 100 feet tall. It stomped down. In an instant, the entire sutra depository trembled. Boom! Rumble. In just an instant, more than half of the sutra depository collapsed. F***ck. The ancestral master is tearing down the house again. At the sight of this, Elder Gu Han and Elder Gu Yan's faces darkened. However, most of the disciples focused their attention on the huge golden figure that was 100 feet tall. That's a giant of light that's 100 feet tall? The group of disciples widened their eyes and looked at the huge golden figure behind Ning Tian. Their hearts were filled with shock and doubt. Hiss! What is the ancestral master trying to do again? In the sky, Luo Wuqing looked at the huge golden figure and squinted his eyes slightly. This is the great emperor's shadow? No, this golden figure doesn't have the great emperor's aura, but there's another aura. Chapter 132. A hint of doubt flashed across her beautiful eyes. That's Fist Dao rhyme. Could this be his Fist Dao Dharma body? This guy, Luo Wuqing's lips parted slightly as she looked at Ning Tian with a different look in her eyes. Creating a great Dao Dharma body was not something an ordinary person could do. As Luo Wuqing's husband, he was naturally not an ordinary person. Boom! At this moment, the huge Fist Dao Dharma body behind Ning Tian shook and started to deduce. Flame Tyrant Fist. It was domineering and had unparalleled divine power. It was also burning with divine flames. This was the Flame Tyrant Fist. In Ning Tian's mind, he started to activate the Sanqing technique and started to deduce. There were two cultivation methods in his body. The Heavenly God Record was responsible for mobilizing all the spirit qi in his body and controlling the Heavenly God body. As for the Sanqing technique, it was responsible for all the great Dao attainments. The two divided the work and complemented each other. Flame Tyrant Fist, Fist Dao. Then, let's deduce. Ning Tian's lips curled into a confident smile as he started to deduce in his mind. Behind him, the 100-meter big Fist Dao Dharma body that was shining with golden light also started to deduce and move. Boom. Whoosh. As the Fist Dao Dharma body started to deduce, the Sutra Depository was destroyed again. Boom. Sigh. Elder Gu Han sighed. It's okay. At this moment, a voice sounded beside him. Luo Wuqing stepped out of the void. Greetings, Empress. Elder Gu Han and Elder Gu Yin quickly bowed to Luo Wuqing. Luo Wuqing nodded slightly. Then, she raised her hand slightly and waved at the Sutra Depository that was now in ruins. Whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, thousands of light balls containing cultivation methods and martial arts flew out of the ruins. It flew into the storage ring in Luo Wuqing's hand. Elder Gu Han, please take care of these first. If the Sutra Depository Pavilion is destroyed, then so be it. We can just rebuild it when the time comes. After saying this, Luo Wuqing's gaze never left Ning Tian's body. Yes, Your Majesty. Hearing this, Elder Gu Han smiled bitterly and carefully put away the storage ring. In the last 100 years of the Tianma cult, the Sutra Depository had never been renovated, let alone rebuilt. However, because of the ancestral master, it had been rebuilt twice. This made Elder Gu Han laugh bitterly in his heart. The Empress really doted on the founder too much. I wonder what that giant golden figure behind Ancestral Master is. Just then, Elder Gu Yin asked as he looked at the Fist Doctrine spell body behind Ning Tian. Fist Dharmakaya. Luo Wuqing's gaze was fixed on Ning Tian's body as he said indifferently, Fist Doctrine spell body? Elder Gu Han and Elder Gu Yin were stunned for a moment. A hint of surprise flashed in their eyes. After being stunned for a long time, they suddenly realized something. Both of them cried out involuntarily, could it be that the Great Dao spell body will only appear when the Great Dao is evolved to the extreme? Yes. Luo Wuqing nodded. However, Ning Tian's Fist Doctrine hasn't reached the extreme yet. He's only pursuing the extreme of Fist Doctrine. Hasn't reached the extreme? Only pursuing the extreme? Hiss! Elder Gu Han and Elder Gu Yin sucked in a breath of cold air. This Fist Doctrine spell body that hadn't reached the extreme was already 100 feet tall. If it reached the extreme, wouldn't it be 1,000 feet, 100,000 feet, or even taller? Boom! At this moment, Ning Tian's Fist Doctrine continued to deduce. The 100 feet tall Fist Doctrine spell body behind him also threw out a punch. Although it was only a Fist Doctrine spell body, it contains substantial power. A punch was thrown out. It was domineering and invincible. In an instant, the mountaintop of the Tianma cult was razed to the ground. Hiss! Many disciples and elders widened their eyes when they saw this scene. The power of the ancestral master's punch was a little too terrifying. Tsk tisk, everyone clicked their tongues and sighed. Some low-star holy emperor elders secretly shook their heads. The power of the ancestral master's punch was something that even they couldn't touch. At this moment, a heart-wrenching scream was heard. F***ck. Isn't that the mountain where my sword hall is located? F***ck. My sword hall is gone. The sword hall elder looked at the raised mountain top not far away. He looked at the remains of the sword hall that was crushed in the ruins and was instantly dumbfounded. The corner of his mouth twitched. He wanted to cry but had no tears. Everyone said that the ancestral master was a demolition maniac. However, didn't the ancestral master only demolish the Sutra Depository? Ha ha ha. Sword boy, for the sake of the ancestral master's cultivation, you'd better bear with it. At most, you can just rebuild it. On the side, the Supreme Elder laughed gloatingly. Hearing this, the Sword Hall Elder's face darkened. He looked at the Supreme Elder and said, "Supreme Elder, have you forgotten that your main hall is right beside my sword hall?" Huh. The Supreme Elder was stunned. Then, he suddenly came to his senses. F***CK. This old man has painstakingly collected 999 copies of the Imperial Maiden painting. After that, the Supreme Elder instantly disappeared and rushed towards the ruins. If he could save one, he would save one. Hearing this, some male disciples sighed while the female disciples blushed. Unexpectedly, the Supreme Elder was actually the kind of person who liked to read erotic books. Some elders were glad that the main hall they were in wasn't attacked by the ancestral master. Otherwise, all the treasures would have been destroyed. But soon, Ning Tian continued to deduce. The 100-feet-tall Dharma body also continued to deduce fist Dao martial arts. Rumble. Along with the sound of the collapse, there were even more miserable screams that sounded like pigs being slaughtered. "It's over! It's over! My fire hall has collapsed. F***CK. My saber hall has collapsed too. Ha ha ha. You guys can't do it." A middle-aged elder with a strong figure laughed. "Elder Rock, your rock hall didn't collapse?" A group of elders looked at him in unison. "Humph." Elder Rock snorted and said arrogantly, "It collapsed. However, my rock hall only collapsed after being punched 3 times by the ancestral master's Dharma body." All the elders, all the disciples. Fortunately, everyone in the Tianma cult was attracted by Ning Tian's heaven and earth anomaly. Otherwise, hundreds of people would have died from this punch. Empress this. Seeing this scene, the corner of Elder Gu Han's mouth twitched. The ancestral master had completely turned into a house-demolishing maniac today. "It's okay." Luo Wuqing was not moved at all. She looked at Ning Tian. "We can just rebuild it when the time comes." Elder Gu Han and Elder Gu Yin were silent. "Oh no, the demonic hall has collapsed too." At this moment, a panicked voice sounded. Everyone was dumbfounded. The demonic hall was the main hall of the Tianma cult, the symbol of its image. Everyone looked at Luo Wuqing. "It's okay." But Luo Wuqing still looked indifferent. He only looked at Ning Tian with his beautiful eyes. He's in the middle of deducing now. He can't be disturbed. He can't be interrupted. Otherwise, all his previous efforts will be wasted. If it collapses, we can just rebuild it. His cultivation is more important. Hearing this, everyone sighed. The ancestral master had almost destroyed half of the Tianma cult's buildings. If it were anyone else, they would probably be hammered to death by the Empress. Only the ancestral master could make the Empress feel indifferent. The Empress doted on the ancestral master too much. Everyone sighed and felt envious. Chapter 133. At this moment, Luo Wuqing looked at the crowd and opened her red lips slightly. "If it's destroyed, then so be it. Don't just watch." Ning Tian is now evolving the Tao of Fists. It contains the Tao of Fists. Why don't you take the opportunity to comprehend it? Fist Tao rhyme? Hearing Luo Wuqing's words, the disciples were stunned for a moment. Immediately, a glint flashed in their eyes, and they suddenly reacted. That's right. The ancestral master was now evolving the Fist Tao, and the Fist Tao rhyme was all over it. It was a good time to comprehend it. "Thank you for enlightening us, Empress." The disciples reacted and bowed to Luo Wuqing. Then, one by one, they sat cross-legged without hesitation and began to comprehend the ancestral master's Fist Tao. Even some of the elders who had already stepped into the way of the fist began to comprehend the way of the fist. That was because they realized that the ancestral master's Fist Tao was more than 10 times stronger than theirs. It was a domineering and unparalleled Fist Tao. After a long time, the disciples sighed and stood up from the ground. They could not comprehend the ancestral master's Fist Tao. Some with high comprehension ability had also successfully mastered the Fist Tao through Ning Tian's Fist Tao rhyme. However, they felt that something was wrong. Although there was Fist Tao, it was completely different from the ancestral master's Fist Tao. They could not comprehend the ancestral master's domineering aura. You don't have to be disappointed. At this moment, Luo Wuqing's voice sounded faintly as she looked around at the crowd. His fist Dao is not ordinary. You only need to comprehend the fist Dao. Hearing that, everyone felt that it made sense and nodded. The ancestral master is indeed the ancestral master. We can't comprehend the fist Dao at all, but we're satisfied. Through the ancestral master's fist Dao rhyme, we've at least stepped into the fist Dao. Another half an hour passed. Then, the 1,000-foot-tall Dharma body of the human martial path blasted out. This time, flames swept across, and the divine position was unparalleled. That was the extreme that Ning Tian wanted to achieve. Deduction of fist Dao martial arts complete. Dharma body dissipated. I finally succeeded. Ning Tian heaved a sigh of relief. The fist techniques from before were either domineering or divine flames. In the end, they just couldn't come together. Fortunately, under his persistent efforts, he finally comprehended and was able to combine the two together. Phew! Ning Tian heaved a sigh of relief. He stretched his body and slowly stood up from the ground. Then, he saw the Tianma cult members around him. He then looked at the mess around him. Ning Tian rubbed his chin thoughtfully. Don't tell me I did this again? Everyone was silent. What do you think? How is it? At this moment, a fragrant wind blew over, and Luo Wuqing's cold voice sounded in his ears. Ning Tian scratched his head and chuckled. Not bad. I feel like I haven't deduced enough. Hearing this, all the disciples and elders trembled with fear. The Grand Elder even cried on the side. Ancestral Master, please stop deducing. If you continue, I'm afraid our Tianma cult will be completely rebuilt. Ahem. Ning Tian coughed dryly. At this moment, the system's voice sounded. You have shocked everyone in the Tianma cult. Immortal artifact. Meteorite gloves rewarded. Meteorite gloves. After wearing, the gloves can become invisible in the hand, almost as if they are not worn. Immortal artifact gloves? Ning Tian's eyes flashed, and he immediately said in his heart, "Wear meteorite gloves." Meteorite gloves equipped. The next moment, Ning Tian felt the force in his hand increase by a lot. How about I throw another punch? Ning Tian chuckled. Huh. No, don't. Ancestral Master, don't. The Grand Elder and the others panicked and wanted to cry but had no tears. However, they were still a step too late. Boom. He threw a punch. The domineering fist technique with the divine flame, coupled with the terrifying power of the meteorite gloves, blasted out. The next moment, the tallest mountain in the Tianma cult collapsed with a loud bang. Everyone in the Tianma cult, come on. This was great. The Tianma cult could be rebuilt. As expected of the ancestral master, he was indeed a home-wrecking maniac. In the next few days, the Tianma cult was carrying out a major project, and that was to rebuild the Tianma cult. And all of this was thanks to the legendary ancestral master who they both loved and hated. The Tianma cult's movements also attracted the attention of many forces. When these forces saw that half of the Tianma cult was almost destroyed, they were shocked. Who was it that dared to attack the heavenly demon cult? Soon, the news that a mysterious force had appeared in the celestial spirit realm and attacked the Tianma cult spread. In an instant, many forces in the celestial spirit realm were in an uproar. They were all curious as to which force was so awesome. However, what they didn't know was that all of this was just the act of a certain ancestral master demolishing his home. Moonlight Cliff. Ning Tian was leading a group of disciples to cultivate. In order to make up for the loss of demolishing his home, he could only redeem himself by doing good deeds. And this act was to lead the disciples to cultivate. Because almost all the elders had devoted themselves to building their home. Ning Tian bit the apple in his hand and shuttled back and forth among the disciples who were cultivating below, pointing at them. Your posture is wrong. First of all, it's okay to hold your head high and stick out your chest, but you're sticking out too much. Ning Tian looked at a female disciple with a serious face. The girl blushed. But, ancestral master, I'm not sticking out too much. It's just that, it's already this big. Ning Tian's old face darkened, and he coughed dryly. Then it's fine. Continue to cultivate. However, he muttered in his heart, why are the young people these days developing so well? Ahem. Continue to cultivate. Don't slack off. Ning Tian continued to supervise. At this moment, a disciple hurried over. That disciple panted. Ancestral Master, outside. There's a big fatty claiming to be your friend and wants to see you. Big fatty? Ning Tian was stunned for a moment, and without thinking, he waved his hand. I don't know any big fatty. Shoo him away, shoo him away. Okay. The disciple nodded and left. But after a while, the disciple ran over again. Ancestral Master, Ancestral Master, Ning Tian frowned. He realized that this disciple was looking at him strangely. What's wrong now? This disciple looked at Ning Tian strangely and said, Ancestral Master, that fatty claimed to be the holy son of the heavenly treasure sacred ground, and he also said that he once sold you an aphrodisiac. It's impossible that you don't know him. As soon as this was said, Ning Tian was stunned for a moment. The surrounding disciples looked at Ning Tian with strange expressions in their eyes, and they were puzzled. Could it be that the ancestral master's body was failing? He was so young, and yet he wanted to buy that kind of medicine? F***ck. Zhu Yuanbua, you bastard. How dare you ruin my reputation? Ning Tian suddenly reacted, and his eyes flashed fiercely as he cursed loudly. Immediately, his whole body flickered like a dragon, and he instantly disappeared on the spot. Chapter 134. Tianma Cult. Outside the mountain gate, Zhu Yuanbua was humming a tune. He seemed to be in a very good mood. If I tell the Ancestral Master this, the Ancestral Master should remember me, right? While he was thinking, suddenly, a loud shout was heard. Zhu Yuanbua. Ning Tian rushed over. Haha, the Ancestral Master is here. Zhu Yuanbua laughed and walked toward Ning Tian. Ancestral Master, long time no see. I wonder if you want to... Bam. A second ago, Zhu Yuanbua had a bright smile on his face. The next second, his entire body flew out. F***c. Ancestral Master, why did you hit me? Zhu Yuanbua's aggrieved voice was heard. F***ck. I'm hitting you. You be **starred. Ning Tian cursed. Every punch landed on his flesh. Ancestral Master, you've said it well. Don't hit someone in the face. I wonder if you can give me some face. Zhu Yuanbua still wanted to struggle. No. Bam. Bam.
Ouch.
Don't hit my face. I rely on this fat but handsome face of mine to make a living, ancestral master. Half an hour later, Ning Tian let out a long sigh of relief. Looking at Zhu Yuanbua, who was beaten up, he felt that he had vented his anger. However, why do I feel that this guy has become a little more handsome after being beaten up? Has his fat turned into lean meat? Has your pretty fist reappeared in the world? No, I have to beat him up again. Therefore, Zhu Yuanbua was beaten up again. Ancestral Master, why did you hit me? Zhu Yuanbua still had a wronged expression on his face. Ning Tian glared at Zhu Yuanbua. You faked it. Who else should I hit if not you? Hearing this, Zhu Yuanbua could only awkwardly scratch his head and mumble, I'm just trying to make the ancestor remember me and leave a deep impression. Ning Tian squinted at him. I won't talk about it. I won't talk about it. Seeing the sandbag-sized fist, Zhu Yuanbao hurriedly laughed. However, his heart was filled with doubts. He was clearly a one-star Saint Emperor Realm expert. Logically speaking, his skin should be thick and tough. However, no matter how monstrous the founder was, he was only at the peak of the Earth King realm. Why was it so painful when every punch landed on his flesh? Let's go. Follow me into the Tianma cult. Ning Tian glanced at Zhu Yuanbua indifferently. In any case, Zhu Yuanbua had come from afar and could be considered a guest. They couldn't let him talk at the mountain gate, although he had just beaten up this guest who had come from afar. Okay, ancestor. Hearing this, Zhu Yuanbua's eyes lit up. He eagerly followed Ning Tian's footsteps. The two of them walked toward the mountain gate and walked along the mountain path toward the Tianma cult. Hee hee, ancestor. I've long heard that the Tianma cult has beautiful mountains and limpid waters. The water and the sky are one color. It can be said that the scenery is extremely beautiful. Today, I can finally see it. Zhu Yuanbua flattered from the side. Ning Tian ignored him and just walked toward Fengyu House. Fengyu House was a special place where the Tianma cult entertained guests. It was far away from the Tianma cult's main hall, so it was still intact. When Zhu Yuanbua really walked into the Tianma cult, the grand hall that he imagined did not appear in front of him. Instead, it was a ruin. Ancestor, was your Tianma cult really attacked? Zhu Yuanbua looked surprised. Although he had heard about it, he had always thought it was fake. After all, the Tianma cult was very powerful. But now, it was actually true. Strange. The Tianma cult has the Empress. Who could cause such a big commotion in the Tianma cult? Could it be a great emperor? If I'm in the Tianma cult now, if that great emperor comes to kill me now, won't I be gloriously injured? The more Zhu Yuanbua thought about it, the more scared he became. But little did he know that the great emperor of destruction in his imagination was right next to him. When Ning Tian heard Zhu Yuanbua's words getting more and more ridiculous, a few black lines appeared on his forehead. He said coldly, "Shut up. Just follow me." "Why are you being so fierce?" "I'll just follow you." Zhu Yuanbua looked at Ning Tian with an aggrieved expression. Ning Tian looked at Zhu Yuanbua with a cold expression. There was actually a trace of coquettish grievance on his fat face. "Hey, you're a big man. Why are you acting coquettishly?" Ancestor, what's wrong with you? Get lost. Stay away from me." "Ancestor, don't. I think you're suffering from kidney deficiency. Come and try my manly must-have, Tianbao Holy Land's top 10 tonic pills. It doesn't cost $9 or 99. It only costs 9,999. Ancestor, do you want one?" "Get lost." With a scream, countless Tianma cult disciples saw a black shadow fly into the sky. "Wow, that fatty can really fly. Tsk, the Tianbao Holy Land's holy son is really something. He's fat and can fly." Many Tianma cult disciples widened their eyes as they watched this scene. The Tianbao Holy Land's holy son is really something. Even we can fly so fast and so high. The elders of the Sky Demon cult were all sighing as they looked at the sky. However, in the sky, Zhu Yuanbua, who heard the sighs, wanted to cry but had no tears. "I'll fly your ass. Didn't you see that I was sent flying by the ancestor with one punch?" Chapter 135. Fengyu House. Zhu Yuanbua came here with his hands on his buttocks. After all, being kicked in the buttocks really hurt. However, Ning Tian finally understood why his wife and the Queen Mother of the West liked to kick his buttocks. It was because it felt really good. Ancestral Master. Inside Fengyu House, the two little maids saw Ning Tian come in and quickly bowed. Their faces were red, and they were extremely excited. Go make some tea and entertain the guests." Ning Tian nodded and ordered the two little maids. "Yes, Ancestral Master." The two maidservants nodded. They glanced at Ning Tian as if their hearts had sprouted before they slowly left. "Ancestral Master is really handsome." Oh, don't say that. I'm going to be shy." The voices of the two little maids could be heard from afar. Hearing this, Zhu Yuanbua was really envious. Along the way, Zhu Yuanbao noticed that all the disciples of Tranquil Sky were extremely respectful towards him. There were even a number of female disciples who were looking at him affectionately. Zhu Yuanbao was filled with jealousy. He was the son of the Tianbao sacred ground and was treated well. However, compared to the ancestral master, the difference was like heaven and earth. Most importantly, the ancestral master was unrestrained in the Tianma cult. Everyone who saw him was in awe. On the other hand, he was restrained by the various rules of the Tianbao sacred ground. Some time ago, he even brought a little junior sister out to play. After returning to the Tianbao sacred ground, he was scolded by the elders in the group of elders in turn. How could the word miserable be enough to describe it? "Ancestral Master, Why don't I join the Tianma cult? Zhu Yuanbo suddenly said. Feeling indignant, Ning Tian was stunned and looked at Zhu Yuanbo strangely. What was wrong with this guy? Don't. I'm afraid that your sacred leader will come after me. Ning Tian shook his head and said lightly. At this moment, two maidservants walked over with 2 cups of hot tea in their hands. Ancestral master, we'll put the tea on the table first. Ning Tian waved his hand. All right, you may leave. Yes. The 2 servant girls nodded. Soon after, they took another look at Ning Tian before leaving with red faces. It was inevitable for young girls to be aroused when they saw the ancestral master. All right. Ning Tian pulled out 2 chairs and sat down. He looked at Zhu Yuanbo and said, What's the matter? Sit down and talk. Okay. Zhu Yuanbo nodded. As he spoke, he sat down on a stool. Ancestral master, I came here today mainly to invite you to. Hiss. Before he could finish his sentence, Zhu Yuanbo sucked in a breath of cold air. With a pained expression, he suddenly sat up from the stool while covering his butt. What are you doing? Ning Tian looked suspiciously at the startled Zhu Yuanbo. Cough, cough. My butt hurts. Zhu Yuanbo scratched his head and took out a small jade bottle. It was filled with light yellow powder. This is the painkiller powder that our Tianbao Holy Land bought at a high price. As he spoke, he turned around and stuck out his butt toward Ning Tian. Ancestral master, why don't you help me apply it? Ning Tian looked at Zhu Yuanbo indifferently. I think you want to die in the Tianma cult. Don't worry, I'll find you the best mountain to see the best scenery. Zhu Yuanbo was stunned for a moment. He smiled and said, Cough, cough. Forget it. There's no need to trouble ancestral master. I'll do it myself. As he spoke, he poured the painkiller powder on his hand, reached into his pants, and began to massage his butt. That scene was unbearable to watch. It was too painful to watch. After a while, Zhu Yuanbo sat down on the stool with a look of enjoyment. He let out a sound of ecstasy. Hiss, this feels great. Zhu Yuanbo was enjoying himself. Okay, what are you doing in the Tianma cult? Ning Tian moved his stool away from this guy. TSK, good tea. Zhu Yuanbo first took a sip of the hot tea, then said, Ancestral master, I'm here today to invite you to Shenzhou City. Shenzhou City? Ning Tian was stunned. He seemed to remember that it was the territory of the Supreme Kingdom of God. Hee, Ancestral master, the girls in Shenzhou City are very beautiful. Naturally, I'll take you there. Hee. Zhu Yuanbo laughed and gave Ning Tian a look that only men would understand. Ning Tian was stunned. Suddenly, he felt a chill on his back, as if a familiar aura was approaching. He quickly coughed. If that's the case, I'll have to reject you. Because I only love my wife. Oh, I see. I was too careless. Zhu Yuanbo scratched his head. Hee. Actually, I want to invite Ancestral Master to attend the Tianbao auction in Shenzhou City. Tianbao auction? Ning Tian was stunned. Yes, Tianbao auction. Zhu Yuanbo nodded. Tianbao auction? The largest auction in the entire Tianling realm? At this moment, a cold voice sounded. Luo Wuqing had appeared outside Fengyu House. Seeing Luo Wuqing, Ning Tian was glad that he didn't say the wrong thing. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to keep his happiness. Greetings, Empress. Seeing Luo Wuqing appear, Zhu Yuanbao was so scared that his body trembled and he knelt on the ground. He broke out in a cold sweat. F***CK. The Empress couldn't have heard what I said to Ancestral Master to hook up with the girls in Shenzhou City. It's over. Chapter 136. Zhu Yuanbo was trembling with fear. However, Luo Wuqing didn't even look at him. She just looked at Ning Tian and said in a cold voice, You can try your luck at this celestial treasure auction. Try my luck? Ning Tian frowned and looked at Luo Wuqing. Honey, what is this so-called celestial treasure auction? Luo Wuqing slightly raised the corner of her mouth and explained softly, The celestial treasure auction is held once a year. The celestial treasure auction is an auction held by the Celestial Treasure Holy Land. However, the items auctioned are not from the Celestial Treasure Holy Land. Instead, They are treasures of the entire celestial spirit domain. Anyone who obtains a treasure will choose to auction it at the celestial treasure auction because the celestial treasure auction is profitable and has a high reputation. It can be said that the celestial treasure auction is the largest auction in the entire celestial spirit domain with the highest quality treasures. At the side, Zhu Yuanbo heard these words and instantly raised his head proudly. I see. Ning Tian suddenly understood. You can try your luck there. Maybe there are the 2 medicinal herbs you are missing, Luo Wuqing said. Ning Tian nodded slightly. If he could buy the 9 phoenix ice grass and the thunder heart fruit at the celestial treasure auction, he wouldn't have to spend so much effort to find them. Moreover, the location this time is in the divine land city of the Supreme Divine Nation. The relationship between the Supreme Divine Nation and the Tianma cult is not too bad. They probably won't attack you. Luo Wuqing looked at Ning Tian. However, to be on the safe side, you'd better be prepared. After that, she glanced at Zhu Yuanbo indifferently. In an instant, Zhu Yuanbo trembled all over. Empress, Your Majesty, get out. Her voice was emotionless. Yes. Without any hesitation, Zhu Yuanbo ran away. After Zhu Yuanbo left, Luo Wuqing slowly walked towards Ning Tian and pushed him into a chair. Wife, what are you doing? I don't think it's a good idea to do it here. Ning Tian was surprised. Shut up. Luo Wuqing clenched her silver teeth and glared at him. Soon after, she slowly lifted his shirt, and her ice-cold jade-like hands floated on his chest. A clear and cold voice sounded faintly. Although the master of the divine kingdom won't attack you, and the righteous Sky Emperor won't dare to attack you, I'll still plant a formation that belongs to me in order to be safe. If it can block the attack for you, I can also sense it. Who asked you to be chased by experts above the God Emperor realm every time you run out? Her small hands moved, soft and cold. Ning Tian's face was full of enjoyment, but when he heard Luo Wuqing's words, he couldn't help but laugh bitterly. It seemed that as long as he went out, he would definitely encounter a great emperor. Could it be that he had a physique that attracted the hatred of great emperors? After a while, Luo Wuqing's cold jade-like hands finally left Ning Tian's chest. She took out a storage ring from her chest and handed it to Ning Tian. There are many spirit coins and some weapons ranging from treasure tools to spirit tools. Go to the auction and buy whatever you want. Ning Tian was stunned for a moment. He only reacted when Luo Wuqing helped him put on the storage ring. Why did he feel like he was being taken care of by a rich woman? However, he liked this feeling. Hee, thank you, wife. Come, let's have a wooden one. Who wants to have a wooden one with you? A few black lines appeared on Luo Wuqing's forehead. She pushed Ning Tian away in disgust and said seriously, You should set off today. The treasure sky auction will be held in a few days. Okay. Ning Tian nodded seriously. Then I'll set off now. Wait. Just as Ning Tian turned to leave, Luo Wuqing called out to him. What's wrong? Ning Tian turned around. Could it be that his wife wanted to give him a goodbye kiss? Here. However, Luo Wuqing handed him a mask. What's this? Ning Tian asked curiously. The mask in his hand was cold and very soft. The workmanship was not simple. Ice silkworm mask. Luo Wuqing explained. Wear it and it can change your appearance. It can also hide your original aura. This way, you don't have to worry about your identity being exposed. I see. Hee, my wife, you're so considerate. Ning Tian smiled and slowly put the ice silkworm mask on his face. A cold touch appeared, and he could clearly feel that his facial features had changed. Wife, how is it? Am I still handsome? You can look at yourself in the mirror. Luo Wuqing silently shifted her gaze to the side. She did not answer directly and only pointed at the bronze mirror. Hearing this, Ning Tian walked over curiously and looked at the mirror. Then, a scream was heard. F***CK. What's this? Wife, this ice silkworm mask's changed appearance is too ugly. Ning Tian looked at himself in the bronze mirror. His face was full of stubble and he was dumbfounded. Was this not Ru Hua? Luo Wuqing was trying hard to hold back her laughter. Ning Tian's face darkened. Wife, can we not wear this when we go out? It's a disgrace to the image of our Tianma cult. No. Luo Wuqing shook her head and finally became serious. If you wear this, others won't know that you're the legendary patriarch of the Tianma cult, so it won't affect you. Speaking of this, she changed the topic. Or do you want to hook up with the little girl in Shinjo City with that fatty? There was a hint of coldness in her words. Ning Tian clearly perceived that the murderous gaze glanced at his lower body. Ahem. He quickly coughed a few times. How is that possible? Then, I'll wear this. Humph. That's more like it. Luo Wuqing glanced at Ning Tian proudly and said in her heart, little guy, can't the emperor deal with you? Okay, then I'm leaving. Ning Tian sighed. Wait. Luo Wuqing stopped him again. What's the matter? Ning Tian turned around seductively. Take off the ice silkworm mask first. Ning Tian did as he was told. This face is still more comfortable to look at. Luo Wuqing touched her chin and said thoughtfully. Hearing this, Ning Tian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He was about to speak, but suddenly, a fragrant wind hit his lips, and a sweet softness came from his lips. It was as if it could make people intoxicated. Ning Tian widened his eyes and looked at the peerless face close to him. He was shocked. I was kissed by force? How could he bear this? No, at this time, he had to take out the dignity of a man. Immediately, he directly hugged that soft and slender waist and suddenly lowered his head, taking the initiative in all aspects. Luo Wuqing was stunned for a moment, and her earlobes were slightly red. She just wanted to encourage Ning Tian, but she didn't expect that this guy would take advantage of her. However, if it was just a kiss, then let this guy be. Chapter 137. Outside Fengyu Restaurant. Zhu Yuanbo was squatting in a corner, shivering. He thought to himself, the Empress was so scary. He didn't know how the ancestral master could control her. Isn't this a little too ferocious? Just as he was thinking about this, he suddenly felt someone pat his shoulder. He was shocked, and the fat on his face trembled. He turned around abruptly. F***CK. Who dares to scare Grandpa Zhu? What? Do you want to fight? Ning Tian's voice sounded. Zhu Yuanbo was stunned for a moment. He scratched his head and smiled embarrassedly. So it's the ancestral master. Then it's fine, Let's go. Ning Tian was too lazy to waste time. Let's go to Divine Land City. Okay. Zhu Yuanbo hurriedly followed. When he saw that Ning Tian seemed to be very happy, he couldn't help but feel puzzled. The ancestral master was so happy. Could it be that he had picked up a treasure? Ning Tian didn't pick up a treasure. However, he had just hugged his delicious wife and nibbled on her a few times. He was in a good mood. Soon, the two of them arrived outside the mountain gate. Tianma cult wasn't too close to Divine Land City, so Ning Tian planned to summon the Black Dragon Knight. But just as he was about to do so, Zhu Yuanbo stopped him. Ancestral master, you don't need to summon the Black Dragon Knight. I have a better mount here. A better mount? Ning Tian was stunned for a moment, but he was a little curious. After all, the Black Dragon Knight was a 5th-rank monster. He wanted to see what kind of good mount Zhu Yuanbo had. Zhu Yuanbo smiled mysteriously. Although my mount isn't as strong as the Black Dragon Knight and is only a 2nd-rank monster, its speed is more than twice that of the Black Dragon Knight. Oh. Hearing his words, Ning Tian was even more curious. Immediately, Zhu Yuanbo whistled. Then, in the forest outside the Tianma cult, several afterimages flashed. This speed. Ning Tian narrowed his eyes slightly. This speed was at least equivalent to him using the swimming dragon steps at full power. Ancestral master, this speed is not bad. Zhu Yuanbo chuckled and clapped his hands. Afterimages flickered and 2 steeds appeared in front of them. Ancestor, this is a rank 2 demonic beast, the fleeting shadow horse. It is a great treasure of the heavenly treasure Holy Land. I begged the elders for a long time before they gave it to me. Afterimage storm horse? Ning Tian looked over and saw that the storm horse's body was flickering with spiritual energy, and at its hooves, there was a faint gale energy that resounded with the sound of the wind. This should be the reason why it was so fast. Ancestral Master, my horse is not bad, right? Zhu Yuanbua looked at Ning Tian proudly. Ning Tian raised his eyebrows. Why did he feel that this sentence was so awkward? But looking at Zhu Yuanbua's expectant eyes, he nodded. Yes, your horse is very good. Very good. Hee hee. Zhu Yuanbua laughed happily. Ancestral Master, get on the horse. With this fleeting shadow horse, we can reach Divine Land City in about 1 to 2 days. After saying that, Zhu Yuanbua took the lead to get on the horse. Yes. Ning Tian nodded. He didn't waste any more words and leaped onto his horse as well. Hiss. The fleeting shadow horse neighed. Let's go. Destination, Divine Land City. Then, Ning Tian's voice fell. Under the hooves of the fleeting shadow horse, the gale energy burst out. As if driven by the wind, it turned into an afterimage and galloped into the distance. Divine Land City. Located in the Divine Land of the Heavenly Spirit Domain, it was the central city of Divine Land. Divine Land was under the rule of the Supreme Kingdom. Although there were many sects in the entire Divine Land, they worshipped the Supreme Kingdom, which was a power that the officials interfered with. The Supreme Divine Nation was not a third-rate nation like the Dongxing Nation. Instead, it was a top power with real great emperors. In the entire Tianling domain, there were only a few powers with great emperors, and the Supreme Kingdom was the only one. The Tianma cult was located in the West Continent, which was not too far from Divine Land. It was a few days' journey. However, Zhu Yuanbua's fleeting shadow horse was also very fast, and its stamina recovered quickly. The two were getting closer and closer to Divine Land. Finally, a day later, the two stepped into the land of Divine Land. If the West Continent where the Tianma cult was located was almost full of mountains, then there were very few mountains in Divine Land. It was almost all flat land. Moreover, they could see towering city walls everywhere. Soldiers in armor were patrolling. Is this Divine Land? Ning Tian looked around in surprise. It was indeed a province under the rule of the Supreme Kingdom. It was heavily guarded, and the cultivators here were more cautious. The number of rules had also increased. Ning Tian, who was used to being unrestrained in the Tianma cult, found it difficult to get used to this. Zhu Yuanbua smiled. Ancestral Master, the entire Divine Land is very big. Let's hurry up. The Tianbao auction will begin in 2 days. Okay. Ning Tian nodded. The two rode on their horses and were about to continue forward. However, at this moment, a group of armored soldiers from the Supreme Divine Nation walked over and stopped them. Stop. Routine inspection. Who are you? One of the soldiers asked as he looked at the two of them. Ning Tian looked over and found that the soldier's strength was at the mystic martial master level. It was already very good for an ordinary soldier to have the strength of a mystic martial master. After all, in this world, in addition to cultivators, there were very few ordinary people who could not cultivate. Hearing the soldier's words, Ning Tian did not answer. Zhu Yuanbua beside him would handle it. Zhu Yuanbua, the son of the Tianbao sacred ground. Zhu Yuanbua stopped smiling and took the initiative to speak. The son of the Tianbao sacred ground? The soldier was stunned for a moment. He quickly asked his subordinates to find a portrait. After comparing it, his expression gradually became respectful. So it's the son of the Tianbao sacred ground. The soldier smiled. The son of the Tianbao sacred ground is here for the Tianbao auction, right? That's right. Zhu Yuanbua nodded. Hee. I heard that the auction this time is going to be even grander. According to the news, there will be quite a number of treasures. A look of yearning appeared on the soldier's face. However, only people of noble status could participate in the Tianbao sacred ground. It was not something a nobody like him could participate. Okay, so, can we go now? Haha, of course. The soldier laughed. Then, he ordered his subordinates to let the two of them go. Then, the two of them rode away. After leaving the outsiders, Zhu Yuanbua returned to his playful self. Ancestral Master, the Supreme Kingdom is very strict. You have to get used to it. In order to identify the famous people in the Tianling domain and not offend anyone, these guys will give the generals a small booklet with the portraits of the outstanding people in the Tianling domain, Zhu Yuanbo explained. Chapter 138. Hearing this, Ning Tian remembered that the leader of the soldiers took out a booklet and identified Zhu Yuanbo through the portrait on it. However, is my portrait on the booklet of the Supreme Kingdom of God? Ning Tian asked. Of course. Zhu Yuanbo nodded and said seriously, Ancestral Master, although you've only become famous in the last few months, dare I ask, is there any prodigy in the heavenly spirit realm who can rival your achievements? That's true. Ning Tian narrowed his eyes. In that case, it seemed that he had to wear the ice silkworm mask. Wait for me, Ning Tian said and stopped the fleeting shadow horse. Hey, good horse, stop. Seeing Ning Tian stop, Zhu Yuanbo could only stop with him. Ancestral Master, what's wrong? He looked at Ning Tian in confusion. You will know later. Ning Tian didn't explain much. He took out an ice silkworm mask from the storage ring and put it on his face. Sigh. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, he could only sacrifice his incomparably handsome face. With a cold and soft touch, Ning Tian's facial features began to change. Soon, Ning Tian changed from a handsome man to a big face with stubble all over his face. Well, let's go. His voice also changed from a magnetic voice to a duck's voice, sharp and ear-piercing. Zhu Yuanbo was dumbfounded on the spot. What the hell was this? Damn it. Who are you? Where is my ancestral master? Zhu Yuanbo looked at the ugly man in front of him with a dumbfounded face. Damn, where did my handsome ancestral master go? I am the ancestral master. Ning Tian looked helpless. Impossible, Zhu Yuanbo said seriously. The patriarch is the kind of despicable person who makes people want to beat him up. Moreover, he has violent tendencies. Hearing this, Ning Tian suddenly wanted to show him his violent tendencies. However, at this moment, this guy suddenly changed the topic.
But
Patriarch is also very handsome. Of course, you're only slightly more handsome than me. Hearing this, Ning Tian suddenly didn't want to hit him anymore. This guy was just blindly telling the truth. AI. Ning Tian sighed and took off his mask. In an instant, his ugly face disappeared and his handsome face reappeared. Now, you should believe me. I do. Only then did Zhu Yuanbo nod. Ning Tian put on the ice silkworm mask again. Seeing this, Zhu Yuanbo was puzzled. Ancestral Master, I've heard about the ice silkworm mask, but it doesn't seem to be like yours. Then what is it? The ice silkworm mask can change one's appearance.
But
it can't change one's appearance. Although the appearance changed is not 1/10 as handsome as yours, it can't be so ugly. Ancestral Master, did the Empress do something to your ice silkworm mask? I guess she just doesn't want you to hook up with the girls in Divine Land City, Zhu Yuanbo said honestly. Hearing this, Ning Tian pondered for a moment and nodded in agreement. He muttered, although my wife is suspected of being jealous, I still have to spank her when I go back. Spank? Spank the Empress's butt? Zhu Yuanbo was shocked. He didn't even dare to think about that scene. He looked at Ning Tian in awe and gave him a thumbs up. Ancestral Master is awesome. He's a role model for our generation. While Zhu Yuanbo was shocked, the system's voice sounded in his mind. You shocked Zhu Yuanbo and received a Gale Acceleration card. Gale Acceleration card. After use, it can accelerate the mount and its speed will be doubled. Gale Acceleration card? Ning Tian lifted the corner of his mouth and revealed an ugly smile. Zhu Yuanbo, sit tight. We have to speed up. Huh? Speed up? Zhu Yuanbo was stunned. At this moment, Ning Tian used the Gale Acceleration card. Using the Gale Acceleration card. Successful use. There was a flash of green light in the eyes of the Shadow Gale horse. Next eject. Start. In an instant, it turned into a shadow and disappeared. Soon, Zhu Yuanbo's screams could be heard.
crap.
What kind of speed is this? Ancestral Master. I'm carsick. No, I'm horse sick. The next day, the sun rose. Outside Divine Land City, two strange men riding horses appeared. One of them had a face full of stubble and was as beautiful as a flower. The other was pale and seemed to be exhausted. Instantly, it attracted the attention of many people and cultivators outside Divine Land City. Mom, these two strange uncles are so scary. Ah, ah, ah. A child took a look at the two strange men and burst into tears instantly. He burrowed into his mother's arms. Seeing the child crying in fear, the woman wanted to reprimand the two men. However, after taking a look, she thought better of it. Oh my God, how can there be such ugly people in this world? Outside Divine Land City, many people were also discussing. Did you see those two strange men? One of them has a face full of stubble and is as beautiful as a flower. The other is fat and exhausted with a pale face. One look, and you can tell that they are not good people. That's right, that's right. I hope that a few officials will come and arrest them later. The two strange men riding horses were Ning Tian and Zhu Yuanbua. The reason why Ning Tian became a strange man with a face full of stubble and was as beautiful as a flower was entirely because of the ice silkworm mask. As for Zhu Yuanbua, Ning Tian did not expect that this guy was really dizzy. Moreover, he was dizzy. Along the way, he was basically vomiting rainbow-colored objects while riding the horse. How could he not collapse? Ancestral Master, where are we? Zhu Yuanbua was still a little confused. Divine Land City. Ning Tian raised his head and looked at the three words Divine Land City written on the huge city gate. Divine Land City was very huge. Moreover, the entire city was vaguely shrouded in a wisp of Emperor's might. In the sky, there was a huge barrier enveloping the city. Therefore, those who wanted to enter Divine Land City could only enter through the gate. We're already in Divine Land City? So fast. Hearing this, Zhu Yuanbua immediately recovered some of his energy. He rubbed his chubby face and took a closer look. Sure enough, they were in Divine Land City. The commotion here finally attracted the attention of the patrolling soldiers. Who are you? A middle-aged man walked over and asked in a deep voice. His name was Lin Shen, and he was the chief patrol officer of Divine Land City. Seeing these two strange men, he could not help but frown. Tomorrow was the day of the heavenly treasure auction. At this time, there could not be any trouble. He's actually at the peak of the Saint Emperor realm. Feeling Lin Shen's vigorous aura, Ning Tian was shocked. Divine Land City was indeed not simple. Sigh. He's here again. Seeing Lin Shen walk over, Zhu Yuanbua sighed and said weakly, Heavenly Treasure Holy Land Saint. Zhu Yuanbua. Chapter 139. The Holy Son of the Heavenly Treasure Sanctum? Lin Shen was stunned for a moment. He looked at Zhu Yuanbua suspiciously and was surprised. Didn't the Heavenly Treasure Sanctum focus on wealth? Why did this big fatty look so poor? However, he only thought about it in his heart. He took out a small booklet and looked at the information on the Heavenly Treasure Sanctum. Yes, you are indeed the Holy Son of the Heavenly Treasure Sanctum. Lin Shen nodded. Holy Son of the Heavenly Treasure Sanctum, please come in. He made a gesture of invitation, and the soldiers blocking the city gate opened up a path for the two of them. Looking at the backs of the two strange people, the crowd outside the gate was dumbfounded. That fatty was the Holy Son of the Heavenly Treasure Sanctum. Oh my, that guy is the Holy Son of the Heavenly Treasure Sanctum. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. What is the requirement to become the Holy Son of the Heavenly Treasure Sanctum? Can you eat a lot? If so, I want to sign up too. Entering the Divine Land City. People came and went in the Divine Land City. The sound of peddlers selling their wares was endless. The prosperity of the Divine Land City was evident. Many strange gazes fell on Ning Tian and Zhu Yuanbua. Ning Tian couldn't help but sigh. In the past, he relied on his handsome face to attract people. Now, with his beautiful face, he could attract people too. Ancestral Master, let's find an inn to rest first, Zhu Yuanbua said slowly. Yes, but isn't the Heavenly Treasure Sanctum the organizer of the Heavenly Treasure Auction? Don't you have an inn for resting? Ning Tian asked curiously. Well, Zhu Yuanbo scratched his head awkwardly. To be honest, ancestral master, I snuck here. Ning Tian was speechless. All right, let's find an inn to rest first. A few minutes later, the two stopped in front of an inn. Stormy Wind and Rain Inn. It's actually quite similar to Stormy House, Ning Tian muttered, then jumped off the Stormy Shadow horse. The two of them tied the Shadow Storm horse to a nearby hitching post and walked into the inn. In less than half a minute, the two of them entered. A sneaky figure appeared beside the two Gale Afterimage horses. Hee hee, this is a good horse. The young girl's laughter was pleasing to the ear, like the sound of wind chimes. A crafty look flashed in her eyes as she looked at the two Afterimage storm horses. Her eyes lit up as she said, Hee hee, the heavenly treasure Holy Land? It seems to be 1,000 miles away? Hee hee, a horse sent from 1,000 miles away, so I'll reluctantly accept it on your behalf. Hee hee, in the inn, Zhu Yuanbo still didn't know that his horse was gone. He and Ning Tian had ordered a table full of delicious dishes and were eating heartily, although it was possible to abstain from eating. However, in Zhu Yuanbo's words, wouldn't fasting be a waste of good food? This was disrespectful to the delicacies. The two of them ate heartily, but the diners beside them were speechless. One was so ugly that one couldn't look straight at her, while the other was so fat that he was oozing oil. This greatly reduced their appetite. After dinner, the two of them returned to their respective rooms and decided to have a good rest. Back in the room, Ning Tian sat cross-legged on the bed. The spiritual energy in his body was extremely rich. His current strength was probably at the peak of the Earth King realm, half a step into the Holy Emperor realm. However, he didn't choose to break through. Instead, he continued to consolidate his realm. The spiritual energy in his body was already in a very rich state. He was waiting for the right time. When he broke through to the intermediate level of the lesser mastery of the heavenly god body, he would break through to the Holy Emperor realm in one fell swoop. That way, the spiritual energy in his body would be more effective. Phew! Ning Tian let out a long sigh of relief. I hope this heavenly treasure auction won't disappoint me. In the room, the spiritual energy was rich. He continued to cultivate. A few hours later, Zhu Yuanbo slept for an entire afternoon and was finally refreshed. He got up from his room and knocked on Ning Tian's door. Before he could speak, the door was opened by Ning Tian. Feeling the rich spiritual energy in the room, Zhu Yuanbo was slightly surprised. Ancestral Master, you've been cultivating? You shocked Zhu Yuanbo. Rewarded spiritual energy cultivation plus 50. Yes. Ning Tian nodded lightly. He had the Tianshan record, which was very useful for recovering fatigue. Hiss! Zhu Yuanbo sucked in a breath of cold air. He seemed to understand the gap between him and the Ancestral Master. Ancestral Master, my admiration for you is like a torrential river. Stop. Ning Tian interrupted him. Stop flattering me. Take me around Divine Land City. The heavenly treasure auction would start tomorrow. Today, he could take advantage of this opportunity to understand the situation in Divine Land City. Okay. Zhu Yuanbo smiled. Ancestral Master, there are many good places in Divine Land City. I'll take you there now. It'll definitely broaden your horizons. Oh, really? Then I'm a little interested. Immediately, the two went down the stairs and walked out of the inn. Ancestral Master, let's go. Let's ride the Windchaser horse. I'll take you to a good place, Zhu Yuanbo said and walked towards the hitching post. However, the hitching post was empty. Ancestral Master, I remember that my horses were tied here, right? Zhu Yuanbo wiped his eyes and looked at Ning Tian. Yes, that's right. Ning Tian nodded. He also remembered that the two Windchaser horses were tied here. However, they were gone now. Ning Tian looked at Zhu Yuanbo seriously. From what I see, if I'm not wrong, your horse should be gone. Zhu Yuanbo was dumbfounded. F***CK? My horses are gone. Chapter 140. My horse is gone. Where's my fleeting shadow stallion? Zhu Yuanbua froze on the spot. F***CK. My horse is gone. If those old fogies from the Elder Council find out, they'll definitely kill me. Zhu Yuanbao gritted his teeth and charged into the Rainstorm Tavern. Ning Tian followed him helplessly. Waiter! Waiter! Zhu Yuanbua shouted as soon as he entered the tavern. Sir, what's the matter? The waiter hurried over and looked at Zhu Yuanbua in confusion. Sir, what do you need? Don't be anxious. We can take our time. How can I not be anxious? My horse is gone. How can I calm down? Zhu Yuanbua gritted his teeth angrily. The waiter was stunned when he heard that. Then, he showed a sad expression. Sir, I sympathize with you. However, the dead can't be brought back to life. My condolences. But don't worry. Since you're a customer of this tavern, I know of a better funeral parlor. I'll make sure your mother passes away in a grand manner. The waiter said seriously. Zhu Yuanbao was stunned and confused. Soon, he realized what was going on. F***CK. You misunderstood me. What I mean is that my horse is gone. The horse that was tied outside is gone. The waiter's heart skipped a beat. Instantly, he looked at Zhu Yuanbao with a strange gaze. F***CK. How could this fatty be so inhumane? He slept in his room and tied his mother outside? Sir, don't you think it's inappropriate for you to do this? The waiter was furious. Your mother gave birth to you and raised you up. How could you treat her like this? What you're doing is a disgrace to human relations. The waiter rained curses down on him. Although he was just a waiter, he had a righteous heart. Zhu Yuanbua was speechless. Ning Tian couldn't help but laugh. He looked at the waiter and explained, Waiter, the horse he's talking about is his mount, not his mother. The waiter was stunned for a moment. Only then did he react and awkwardly scratch his head. I'm sorry. I didn't know you were talking about riding a horse. I thought you were talking about cough cough, the waiter said apologetically. So, where is my horse? Zhu Yuanbua didn't care. He just wanted to know where his horse went. At the thought of losing these two flaming windchaser horses, wouldn't those old fellows in the Holy Land toy with him until he died? Zhu Yuanbua couldn't help but tremble at the thought of that scene. The waiter scratched his head awkwardly. I really don't know. But recently, there is indeed a group of horse thieves and horse hunters in Divine Land City. Horse thieves and horse hunters? Zhu Yuanbua's expression turned ugly. He prayed in his heart. His horse, please don't steal it, but please don't let it fall into the hands of the horse hunters. If it fell into the hands of the horse hunters, it would be a dead end. Sigh. You can lose your horse just by sleeping, Zhu Yuanbua sighed. Let's go. Ning Tian glanced at him. It's not a good idea to keep it here. Let's look around Divine Land City. Maybe we can find your horse? Zhu Yuanbua nodded helplessly. This was the only way now. The two left the Windrain Tavern and walked toward Divine Land City. Walking in the city, the two's current appearance, one ugly and one fat, attracted a lot of attention. People came and went on the streets. The peddlers' cries rang out one after another. While the two of them were searching for their horses, they also heard some voices. Hey, have you heard? The Wind and Thunder 9 Steps platform is open again. I heard that there are only 9 steps on the Wind and Thunder 9 Steps platform. But since ancient times, very few people have been able to reach the top. However, according to legend, every step on the Wind and Thunder 9 Steps platform has a great effect on one's cultivation. The 9th step is said to be the most mysterious of the 3,000 great paths, the Divine Thunder Path. This time. I heard that if you set foot on the 8th step, you will have the opportunity to have dinner with the princess. Princess? Could it be the Moon Spirit Princess of the Kingdom of God? It's the Moon Spirit Princess. Damn. Stop talking. I'm going. Hearing this, Ning Tian and Zhu Yuanbua were both stunned. Wind and Thunder 9 Steps platform? The Divine Thunder Path of the 3,000 Great Paths? Ning Tian's eyes flashed. According to Sansheng, the heavenly god constitution had an affinity with the Tao of heaven and earth and the law of heaven and earth. If he could obtain the Divine Thunder Path, it would make a qualitative leap in his combat strength. Most importantly, When combined with the heavenly god constitution, the power of the divine thunder path would be completely doubled. He had a plan in mind. Since he saw the divine thunder path, he naturally would not let it go easily. Zhu Yuanbua, the Wind and Thunder 9 Steps platform. Ning Tian looked at Zhu Yuanbua. Just as he was about to ask, he saw Zhu Yuanbua wiping his saliva. Ancestral Master, you want to ask about the Moon Spirit Princess, right? Zhu Yuanbua laughed. After all, if you reach the 8th step, you can have dinner with the Moon Spirit Princess. The Moon Spirit Princess is one of the 3 beauties of the Divine Land. No, I'm not asking about the Moon Spirit Princess. Ning Tian shook his head and said lightly, I want to ask about the Wind and Thunder 9 Steps platform. Wind and Thunder 9 Steps platform? Zhu Yuanbua was stunned. I'm not too sure about this. I only know that it was left behind by a great emperor in the kingdom of God hundreds of years ago. I don't know anything else. Left behind by a great emperor? Ning Tian murmured. Hee, Ancestral Master, if you're interested in the Wind and Thunder 9 Steps platform, let's go and have a look, Zhu Yuanbua said. What? Don't you want to look for a horse? Ning Tian glanced at Zhu Yuanbua. No, I'm not looking for one. Zhu Yuanbua laughed. How can a horse be more important than the Moon Spirit Princess? Oh no? Ancestral Master reaching the top of the Divine Thunder Path? Really? Ning Tian looked at him meaningfully and said lightly, then lead the way. Okay. Zhu Yuanbua laughed. The two walked toward the Wind and Thunder 9 Steps platform. The Wind and Thunder 9 Steps platform. It was located in a huge square in the east of the Divine Land city. The Wind and Thunder Square. It was famous in the Divine Land because of the Wind and Thunder 9 Steps platform. In the center of the huge square, 9 huge blue stones of different heights formed the Wind and Thunder 9 Steps platform. It looked ordinary, but it was full of heaviness. It was already crowded with people, but their eyes did not fall on the Wind and Thunder 9 Steps platform. Instead, they were in a small building far away from the square. Covered by a thin veil, a beautiful figure could be vaguely seen. Although they could not see her face, her graceful figure still tugged at their heartstrings. And that beautiful figure was the Moon Spirit Princess of the Kingdom of God. Chapter 141. Under Everyone's Gaze. A pleasant voice came from the small building. It was as pleasant as a wind chime. The Wind Thunder 9-step platform is open again. I hope everyone can climb to the top. As soon as she finished, it was like listening to heavenly music. Hearing that voice, everyone around was excited. In the crowd, a foreign cultivator said excitedly, her voice is so pleasant. Princess Moon Spirit must be very beautiful. Nonsense. She's one of the 3 beauties of the Divine Land. How can she not be beautiful? A cultivator next to him rolled his eyes and sighed. It's a pity that we can't see the princess' true appearance. The foreign cultivator said innocently, won't you see it when you reach the 8th step? The cultivator rolled his eyes at him. Do you really think it's so easy to climb the Wind Thunder steps? With every step, the difficulty doubles. It's as difficult as ascending to heaven. As difficult as ascending to heaven. The foreign cultivator gasped. Let's wait and see. After all, because of the Sky Treasure Auction, many elites of the heavenly spirit realm have come. Maybe there's a chance. The crowd began to look forward to it. At this moment, Princess Moon Spirit's voice sounded from the small building. I wonder who would like to be the first to try the Wind Thunder 9-step platform? At first, everyone was still hesitating. But when they heard that, they all wanted to try it as if they had been injected with chicken blood. I'll do it. At this moment, a coarse voice rang out. A burly man walked out of the crowd. I'm Huang Jiutian from the Broken Rock sect. Huang Jiutian smiled confidently. Everyone, Broken Rock sect? Have you heard of it? No, I haven't. Maybe it's just a mediocre celestial venerable faction. Everyone around was discussing. Huang Jiutian's face darkened, and he snorted coldly. You'll know later. As soon as he finished speaking, Huang Jiutian strode toward the Wind Thunder 9-step platform. Everyone looked at him. Humph, aren't they just steps? They don't even have the slightest bit of spiritual qi. Huang Jiutian snorted coldly. As he took a step forward, he said, "Let alone the 9th step, even if it's the 100th step, I'll climb it for you." As soon as he finished speaking, he landed and successfully reached the 2nd step. Humph, it's nothing. Huang Jutian took 2 more steps forward. In just a few seconds, he reached the 4th stage. Some of the foreign cultivators couldn't help but widen their eyes. How could it be so easy? Could it be that this Huang Jutian could really step onto the 9th step? They were all pounding their chests and stamping their feet. Endless regret. If he was the one who took the initiative just now, wouldn't he be the one who reached the top? However, some cultivators from the Divine Prefecture who knew the power of the Wind Thunder platform sneered and were ready to watch a good show. 4 more steps and I'll be able to have dinner with the Moon Elf Princess. Huang Jutian's eyes flashed with excitement. He was having dinner with a beautiful woman, a princess of a boundless divine kingdom. If they were on good terms with him, they would have a supreme divine nation behind them. Who would dare to provoke them? Then, he raised his foot and took a step forward. Suddenly, Huang Jutian was stunned. This step was as heavy as 1,000 pounds. That's only 500 kilograms. Huang Jutian clenched his teeth. As an Earth King realm cultivator, his strength was more than 500 kilograms. Then, he gritted his teeth and took a step forward. Boom! All of a sudden, at this moment, a terrifying pressure instantly came from the 5th step of the Wind and Thunder Stage 9 steps. Suddenly, Huang Jutian's body shook violently. What kind of power is this? His heart was in turmoil. Just as he was about to retract his foot, he realized that the foot that landed on the 5th step had become a bloody mess. Huang Jutian's face turned pale. He could feel the pain. Ah, my leg. Then, he lost his center of gravity and fell from the Wind Thunder platform. From the beginning to the end, he did not understand when his leg became a bloody mess. The defense of an Earth King realm was ineffective. Hiss! Seeing this scene, the foreign cultivators gasped and broke out in a cold sweat. The cultivators in the Divine Prefecture city looked as if this was a common occurrence. For hundreds of years, those who reached the top of the Wind Thunder platform were at least in the Divine Emperor realm now, even if they were not great emperors. What qualifications did a mere Earth King realm cultivator have to directly reach the top of the 5th step? If they could sense the power and could not bear it, then they should give up decisively. If they knew the difficulty and went up, they would only end up like Huang Jutian. In the small building, the beautiful figure shook her head and ordered the guards beside her. Soon, there were soldiers carrying Huang Jutian, who was screaming on the ground, away. Following that, with Huang Jutian as an example, many people were afraid and did not dare to step forward. However, there were still people who could not resist the temptation and wanted to try. However, after they stepped onto the 4th step and sensed the powerful aura of the 5th step, their faces changed and they did not dare to step on it. They could only give up. Everyone had seen Huang Jutian's miserable state just now. Is there anyone else who dares to try? In the small building, Princess Moon's spirit looked at the people around her through the thin veil. Everyone was silent and did not dare to try. At this moment, a faint laughter sounded. Since you all don't dare to try, why don't I try? Everyone looked over. In the crowd, an elegant young man wearing a blue luxurious robe and holding a folding fan walked over. On his face, there was always an easygoing smile. It made people feel very close to him. This is the saint of the carefree sacred ground, Zhuge Yu. Sir Zhuge. Seeing the elegant young master walking over, the surrounding people were all shocked. Zhuge Yu was the saint of the carefree sacred ground. The carefree sacred ground was an Emperor realm force. Moreover, it was a top Emperor realm force with a real great emperor. So it's the saint of the carefree sacred ground. In the small building, Princess Moon's spirit's voice sounded. In that case, please give it a try, saint of the carefree sacred ground. Zhuge Yu smiled and waved the folding fan in his hand slightly. He walked toward the Wind Thunder 9 steps casually. That easygoing smile caused many female cultivators to scream. So handsome. Is there really a man more handsome than Sir Zhuge in this world? There shouldn't be, right? Hearing the female cultivator's words, Zhuge Yu's expression did not change as he walked away with a smile. He walked to the front of the Wind Thunder 9 steps and slowly closed his folding fan. Zhuge Yu's lips curled into a smile. I've heard of the Wind Thunder 9 steps of the Divine Land City. Since I'm here today, it would be a pity if I don't give it a try. As soon as his voice fell, he took a step forward. Everyone's eyes fell on Zhuge Yu. Even Princess Moon Spirit was looking forward to it. As the saint of the carefree sacred ground, how many steps could Zhuge Yu take? Under everyone's gazes, Zhuge Yu smiled and took a step forward. First step, second step, third step. Zhuge Yu's lips curled into a smile as he took one step after another. Soon, he stood on the fourth step, lifted his foot, and stepped toward the fifth step. Chapter 142. Instantly, everyone was on tenterhooks. No one had managed to cross the fifth stage. Could Zhuge Yu do it? Zhuge Yu stepped forward with a confident smile on his face. Boom. As expected, the power of the fifth stage exploded. However, Zhuge Yu was unmoved. He still took a step forward. As he took a step forward, the pressure of the fifth stage dissipated instantly. He's not affected at all. That's not right. Mr. Zhuge is a holy emperor, and so am I. Why is there such a huge gap between us? Those cultivators who had just failed were puzzled. How could Zhuge Yu pass 5 stages in a row when they were in the same realm? A cultivator from Divine Prefecture explained, the Tempest platform does not only test one's strength, but also one's talent and potential. Mr. Zhuge's talent and potential are far above yours. Naturally, he'll go further than you. Hearing that, the group of cultivators who had failed scratched their heads awkwardly. I see. He looked at Zhuge Yu again. He stopped at the 5th stage, and a glint flashed across his eyes. Immediately, he took a deep breath. Then, he took a step forward. Hiss! The 6th stage. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air when they saw this scene. Their eyes were filled with deep shock. I wonder if Mr. Zhuge can reach the 7th stage? At this moment, Zhuge Yu slowly lifted his foot, and beads of cold sweat appeared on his forehead. At this moment, he also felt the pressure. However, this pressure was not enough to stop him. He took a step forward. His foot landed on the 7th stage. Then, Zhuge Yu's entire body was trembling slightly. This Tempest platform is indeed something, but it's not a problem for me. The corner of Zhuge Yu's mouth lifted slightly, and his foot landed. Boom. In an instant, he felt endless pressure. Electric currents kept flashing all over his body. It's indeed the Divine Thunder Path. Zhuge Yu's gaze landed on the highest point of the Tempest platform. Rumor had it that the 9th stage contained the comprehension of the Divine Thunder Path. It's a pity that the 9th stage is not that easy to reach. Zhuge Yu sighed slightly. Although he was very eager to reach the 9th stage of the Tempest platform, he knew his limits. He could not reach the 9th stage. Sigh, he sighed. Zhuge Yu stepped onto the 7th step. The 7th step? Young Master Zhuge has reached the 7th step. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people widened their eyes. Their eyes were filled with deep disbelief. Inside the small building, the Moon Spirit Princess narrowed her eyes at this scene. Princess, maybe Zhuge Yu can do it. At this moment, an aged and gloomy voice sounded from beside him. In the small building, there was a white-haired old woman. She was sitting cross-legged with her eyes closed. Him? The Moon Spirit Princess paused for a moment. Perhaps. At this moment, the Wind Thunder Square was already filled with people. There were even more people than before. Everyone was excited when they heard that someone had reached the 7th step. After seeing that it was Zhuge Yu, he understood. After all, he was the holy son of the unfettered sacred ground. It was not too much for him to reach the 7th rank. However, the 8th and 9th levels were the most difficult. On the 7th step, Zhuge Yu had already lifted his foot and was about to step onto the 8th step. Everyone held their breaths in anticipation. However, on the 7th step, Zhuge Yu only lifted his foot slightly. After frowning, he put it down. Shaking his head, he turned around, picked up his folding fan, and slowly walked down the steps. Did Did Zhuge Yu give up? Seeing this, everyone was stunned for a moment. They were all confused. It was so easy for Zhuge Yu to reach the 7th step. Why didn't he reach the 8th step? Could it be that the 8th step was really that terrifying? In the small building, the Moon Spirit Princess and the old woman were both stunned. Princess, it seems like Zhuge Yu is not good enough. The old woman sighed. Sigh. The Moon Spirit Princess sighed faintly. There was a hint of worry on her face. Zhuge Yu walked down from the Wind Thunder 9 step by step. He fanned himself with his folding fan and smiled at the small building. It seems that my talent is still not good enough. I have disappointed the princess. He tried the Wind Thunder 9 steps only because of the Wind Thunder 9 steps. It was not because of the Moon Spirit Princess. It's all right. The unfettered Holy Sun is already very strong. It's just a pity. The Moon Spirit Princess's bell-like voice came from the small building. Zhuge Yu smiled. Seeing that Zhuge Yu had failed, some of the people in the Wind Thunder Square who wanted to try hesitated. At this moment, there was a commotion from the crowd. Let me go over. I'll try. No, the two of you look really weird. For the princess's safety, I can't let you go over. Everyone looked over. They saw a group of soldiers blocking the two of them. One was indescribably ugly, and the other was extremely fat. The fat man was trying to push the soldiers away and squeeze his way in. Damn, how can there be such ugly people in this world? They are nothing compared to the young Master Zhuge. But why do I feel that the fat man looks familiar? Seeing the two of them, the surrounding people had a weird look on their faces. Zhuge Yu also looked over. When he saw the fat man who was shouting, he raised his eyebrows. The Tianbao Saint? The two of them were naturally the Ning Tian and Zhu Yuanbo. When Zhuge Yu saw Zhu Yuanbo also saw him. Ancestral Master, I found reinforcements. Zhu Yuanbo chuckled. What reinforcements? Ning Tian raised his eyebrows. Zhu Yuanbo took a deep breath and shouted, Zhuge Yu, come and save me. Otherwise, I'll give you the big one you bought from me half a month ago. His voice was deafening and everyone in the square could hear him clearly. However, before Zhu Yuanbo could finish his sentence, a green shadow flashed and appeared beside Zhu Yuanbo in an instant. Then, he covered Zhu Yuanbo's mouth with a murderous look in his eyes. Tianbao Saint, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. Zhuge Yu looked at Zhu Yuanbo and said, Hee. Zhu Yuanbo smiled and looked at Ning Tian proudly. It was as if he was saying, Ancestral Master, reinforcements are here. Ning Tian was a little surprised and looked at Zhuge Yu meaningfully. It seemed that the Xiaoyao Saint was not as simple as he looked. What good things could he buy from Zhu Yuanbo? Zhuge Yu heaved a sigh of relief and looked at the soldiers beside him. This is the saint of the Tianbao Sanctum. We don't have to stop him, right? The saint of the Tianbao Sanctum? Hearing that, the group of soldiers was shocked and quickly bowed to Zhu Yuanbo. Sorry, we don't know the identity of the saint. Forget it. Just step aside. Zhu Yuanbo waved his hand and led Ning Tian to the Wind Thunder 9 steps platform. Chapter 143. So it's the Holy Sun of the Heavenly Treasure Sacred Ground? Is that the most extravagant Holy Sun? But why is he dressed so shabbily? On the Wind Thunder Square, a group of people were discussing. What they didn't know was that Zhu Yuanbo had sneaked out. If he was dressed so conspicuously, wouldn't he be discovered? Are they going to challenge the Wind Thunder 9 steps too? After all, he's the Holy Sun of the Heavenly Treasure Sacred Ground. I'm looking forward to it. Seeing the two of them walking towards the Wind Thunder 9 steps, the group of people started discussing again. In the small building, the Moon Spirit Princess looked at the two of them with confusion. Master Ninyin, who are these two? The old woman shook her head. Princess, that's the Holy Sun of the Heavenly Treasure Sacred Ground. As for the other one, I'm not sure. The Holy Sun of the Heavenly Treasure Sacred Ground? Why is he getting fatter? The Moon Spirit Princess was shocked. She had seen Zhu Yuanbo a few years ago, but she didn't expect him to get fatter. However, you don't have to worry too much about them. Old Yu shook his head again. Even Zhuge Yu didn't succeed. These two don't stand a chance. The moon spirit princess nodded. Her gaze passed through the veil and looked towards the Wind Thunder 9 steps. In front of the Wind Thunder 9 steps, Zhu Yuanbua looked at Ning Tian and chuckled. Ancestral Master, do you want to go first, or should I? You go first, Ning Tian said indifferently. His gaze landed on the Wind Thunder 9 steps. There was indeed the aura of wind and thunder on the 9th step. Unfortunately, one could only approach the aura of wind and thunder on the 9th step. Okay. Hearing Ning Tian's words, Zhu Yuanbua nodded. Then, he took a deep breath and walked towards the Wind Thunder 9 steps. Hee, Ancestral Master, don't look at me like this. I'm still confident in my cultivation aptitude. Zhu Yuanbua chuckled. Then, he took a step forward. 5 steps in a row. Zhu Yuanbua easily stepped onto the 5th step. Seeing this scene, a solemn look flashed across the crowd's eyes. As expected, none of the holy sons of Emperor Realm factions were easy to deal with. Then, under everyone's gaze, Zhu Yuanbua stepped onto the 7th step. F***CK. This fatty has already reached the 7th step. As expected of the heavenly treasure saint. Everyone's eyes widened. Zhu Yuanbua felt uneasy. One more level, and he would be able to eat with the Moon Spirit Princess. He took a deep breath. Then, he took a tentative step forward. Inside. Crack. His feet seemed to have been electrified. Zhu Yuanbua was stunned, but he didn't take it to heart. It was just a small electric current. Just this? Zhu Yuanbua smiled confidently. Then, he placed one foot on the 8th step. Seeing this scene, Ning Tian frowned slightly, vaguely feeling that something was wrong. Because he had the lightning calamity spirit vein in his body, he was especially sensitive to lightning and other powers. He could feel the lightning aura in the air. By the side, Zhuge Yu waved his fan with a smile on his face, as if he was ready to watch a good show. Boom. Suddenly, the lightning calamity surged. Lightning fell. It suddenly blasted on his body. After a flash of golden light, Zhu Yuanbua's entire body was instantly turned black. Crack. The protective gold ingot in his hand shattered into 2 halves and fell to the ground. Zhu Yuanbua was stunned for a moment. Then, he directly ran away and withdrew from the 8th step. What a joke. The gold ingot that was shattered just now was a protective gold ingot that could save one's life. A lightning strike shattered the protective gold ingot, and he was only halfway to the 8th step. If he was standing on the 8th step, wouldn't he be struck by lightning? Hiss. Seeing this scene, everyone finally understood why Zhuge Yu had given up just now. That attack just now, even a heavenly master might not be able to withstand it. It seems that no one can go to the 8th step, not to mention the 9th step. The surrounding people sighed. In the small building, the Moon Spirit Princess also sighed faintly. Sure enough, no one can do it. But at this moment, a voice was heard. Look, that ugly man is going to go up. Hearing that, many people in the Wind Thunder Square looked toward the Wind Thunder platform. They saw that Ning Tian had already walked to the front of the Wind Thunder platform. He raised his head slightly and looked at the 9th step of the Wind Thunder platform. His eyes flashed with a touch of passion, and then he took a step forward. Boom. When he took this step, Ning Tian's face instantly changed. It was as heavy as thousands of pounds, as if he was sinking into mud, as if Mount Tai was pressing down on him. What's going on? Ning Tian was shocked. This was only the 1st step. Why did he feel that his body couldn't move? His back was already wet with sweat. At this moment, the system's voice sounded. Host, this Wind Thunder platform seems to be opposite to those with the Heavenly God Constitution. Opposite? Ning Tian was stunned for a moment. Then, he suddenly reacted. Doesn't that mean that my 1st step is actually the 9th step? The system. Yes, the host can now absorb the Divine Thunder Path Comprehension method, but during the comprehension process, the host has to resist the pressure of the 9th step? Understood. Ning Tian nodded in his heart. Detected that the host is absorbing the Divine Thunder Path Comprehension method, comprehending at 10 times the speed. As the voice sounded in his heart, the pressure of the ninth step began to attack. Chapter 144. Seeing that Ning Tian had stopped at the first step, the crowd was stunned. Then, they burst into laughter. Ha ha ha. This ugly man has to stop at the first step for so long. It is said that even a newborn baby can climb to the first step of the wind and thunder 9 steps. I didn't expect that this guy can't even pass the first step. Ha ha. He's really ugly and trashy. The crowd burst into laughter. Even Zhuge Yu could not help but laugh. It was indeed unreasonable that he could not even pass the first step. You guys. Zhu Yuanbo gritted his teeth and said slowly, "What do you know? My friend is not ugly. Moreover, it's impossible for him to stop at the first step." Tianbao Saint, it's not that we don't respect you, but facts speak louder than words. Why do you have to lie to yourself and us? Someone in the crowd retorted. I will never lie to you. If I lie to you, I'll be struck by lightning. Zhu Yuanbo was a little anxious. Hearing that, the crowd shook their heads and laughed. Boom. At that moment, a bolt of lightning struck. Then, the originally cloudless sky was suddenly covered by dark clouds. It was as if a lightning dragon had appeared in the sky. Boom, boom. Waves of angry thunder roared. F***CK. Zhu Yuanbo was shocked. It's over. Did my vow come into effect? This is lightning? Wind and thunder changes. Legend has it that this will only happen when one reaches the 9th step. F***CK. How could this happen at the first step? Seeing that, the crowd rubbed their eyes. This guy is indeed at the first step. Why would this happen at the first step? In the small building, the old woman's expression changed slightly. A hint of doubt flashed across her eyes. Master Nanyan, this is? Princess Moon Spirit's eyes were filled with doubt. I'm not too sure about this either. The old woman shook her head. She was also puzzled. This is merely the first step. Why would there be such a phenomenon? At this moment, Ning Tian gritted his teeth as he felt his body continuously absorbing the aura of wind and thunder. This wind and thunder aura was the comprehension of the wind and thunder Tao. If it weren't for the fact that his body had been baptized by the lightning tribulation and had a huge lightning tribulation spiritual vein in his body, he wouldn't have been able to withstand it. Otherwise, he might not be able to withstand it. Comprehending the divine thunder Tao at 10 times the speed. Host, please hold on. Boom. Above the sky, lightning continued to fall. Boom. Then, the lightning in the dark clouds was like a lightning dragon, striking towards Ning Tian, who was in the first layer of the wind-thunder step. Seeing this, the 199 lightning tribulation spiritual veins in Ning Tian's body began to circulate. The power of the lightning tribulation spiritual vein was enough to offset a portion of the lightning. Boom. Rumble. Then, the crowd saw bolt after bolt of lightning smashing onto Ning Tian's body. A beam of dazzling white light instantly illuminated tranquil sky. This is lightning. I'm afraid that the powerhouses of the heavenly venerate base star will all die inside, right? Everyone was shocked. The white light slowly dissipated. They saw that Ning Tian was still standing on the first step, but his skin and flesh were lacerated. Around his body, tiny lightning dragons could be vaguely seen. That was the lightning tribulation spiritual vein protecting him. He's still alive? Seeing this scene, the crowd was shocked beyond words. What a strong defense. Zhuge Yu squinted his eyes as a hint of shock flashed across his eyes. You've shocked the cultivators of the divine prefecture city. You've shocked the saint of the carefree sacred ground. You've shocked the moon spirit princess. Reward. Lightning evasion pill. After consumption, you can resist a portion of the lightning. Reward. Miracle medicine pill. After consumption, you can quickly recover from your injuries. The system's voice rang in Ning Tian's mind. He heaved a sigh of relief. The injuries on his body made him feel a little painful. He quickly said in his heart, System, use the lightning evasion pill and miracle medicine pill. Using the lightning evasion pill and miracle medicine pill. Use successful. The system's voice faded. Ning Tian could clearly feel that the lightning had reduced his injuries by a lot, and the injuries on his body were constantly recovering. Boom, boom. A few more bolts of lightning struck down. However, the damage to Ning Tian was greatly reduced. Divine Thunder Dao successfully comprehended. Current level of comprehension. First glimpse. The system's voice rang out. Ning Tian immediately dragged his heavy body and took a step forward. He had successfully stepped onto the second step. Although it was only the second step, it was the opposite for him. He had already passed the most difficult step, so how difficult could the next step be? Then, under the shocked gaze of the crowd, he took 7 steps in a row. He directly stepped onto the 8th step. Seeing this scene, the crowd was dumbfounded. Why did it feel like this guy was getting more and more relaxed? When he stepped onto the 8th step, Ning Tian lifted his leg and was about to step onto the 9th step. However, on second thought, he had already obtained the comprehension method of the Wind and Thunder Dao. Why should he step onto the 9th step? Moreover, there were too many people around. If he stepped onto the 9th step, it would cause unnecessary trouble. Stepping onto the 8th step was still reasonable, but stepping onto the 9th step was too shocking. Immediately, he turned around and walked down from the 8th step. However, this was already a huge shock to the crowd. This guy, after stopping at the first step, the other 7 steps were as simple as drinking water for him. Although he gave up on the 9th step, this was enough to shock the crowd. Damn! Suddenly, in the crowd, there was a cry of surprise. This guy has stepped onto the 8th step. Isn't he going to have a meal with the Moon Spirit Princess? It's over. This guy is so ugly. Can the Moon Spirit Princess really eat him? Chapter 145. Everyone who immediately understood what was going on began to wail miserably. Their eyes were filled with envy and jealousy as they looked at Ning Tian. Such an ugly man could actually have a meal with a beauty like the Moon Spirit Princess. How infuriating! This was simply a flower falling on cow dung. However, Ning Tian ignored the envy and jealousy of these people as if he didn't hear them. At this moment, the system notification sounded in Ning Tian's mind. You have shocked everyone. Rewarded with Wind and Thunder Dao Comprehension Point +1. Wind and Thunder Dao Comprehension Point. Can increase your Wind and Thunder Dao Comprehension. Do you want to use it? Ning Tian said in his heart, use it. Using Wind and Thunder Dao Comprehension Point. Use successful. Current Wind and Thunder Dao attainments have reached a small success. In his body, the Thunder Calamity spiritual meridian instantly became active. Vaguely, when it flowed in his body, there were sparks and lightning. Phew! Ning Tian let out a long sigh of relief and was very satisfied. Then, he looked at Zhu Yuanbua. Fatty, let's go. Seeing that Ning Tian was about to leave, Zhu Yuanbua was stunned. He stared at Ning Tian with wide eyes. Zhu, Marshal Ning, are you leaving just like that? Zhu Yuanbua subconsciously blurted out the word Ancestral Master. After remembering that the Ancestral Master had told him not to expose his identity, he quickly changed his words. And Marshal Ning was Ning Tian's alias now. Marshal Ning? Around them, everyone in the Wind and Thunder Square was stunned on the spot with a strange expression. 3 question marks slowly appeared in their heads. How could he be called Marshal Ning with such an ugly appearance? Which one of the people present wasn't more handsome than him? Ning Tian was puzzled. Why don't you leave? What are you staying for? You. Zhu Yuanbua was speechless for a while and said angrily, Marshal Ning, you have reached the 8th step. Naturally, you have to have dinner with the Moon Spirit Princess. Have dinner? Ning Tian was startled, and then he put on a serious face. Why do I have to have dinner with her? Is she prettier than my wife? Zhu Yuanbua opened his mouth and choked on the words in his heart. No. Even 10 Moon Spirit Princesses couldn't compare to the Empress's peerless beauty. If you don't, then why would you eat? Ning Tian rolled his eyes and turned to leave. Let's go. Don't waste my time. I'm still waiting to go back and cultivate. He watched as the two of them turned to leave. The surrounding people were dumbfounded. He didn't even want to have dinner with the moon spirit princess. If it were anyone else, they would have long fought over it. Was this person stupid? Or was there something wrong with his eyes? She was one of the three beauties of the divine land. His wife? How pretty could his wife be? Could it be that his wife was the #1 beauty in the sky spirit realm, the empress of the Tianma cult? What a joke. Wait. At this moment, a pleasant voice sounded from within the small building. Fellow Taoist, aren't you going to have dinner with Moon Spirit? I'm not free. Ning Tian did not even turn his head as he indifferently spat out 2 words. In the small building, the Moon Spirit Princess was stunned for a moment, as if she didn't expect Ning Tian to answer like this. Seeing that Ning Tian was about to leave, she hurriedly said, Fellow Taoist, when are you free? Depends on my mood. Ning Tian's indifferent words floated over from afar. Soon, the two of them disappeared. Only the dumbfounded crowd was left. The Moon Spirit Princess had personally invited him, but he actually said that he was not free? Princess, in the small building, the white-haired old woman had a strange expression. Master Nanyan, help me investigate this person. On the side, the Moon Spirit Princess regained her calm. Although she was a little shocked to be rejected, she was not flustered and exasperated. Instead, she was a little curious about Ning Tian. In the past, whether it was the saints of the sacred grounds or the princes of some large countries, they were all like bees, hovering around her. But now, this unprepossessing fellow had actually rejected her. This contrast made the Moon Spirit Princess a little dumbfounded. Okay, the old woman nodded. At this moment, in the sky, there was a fluctuation in the sky. The whole sky was covered by dark clouds again. What's going on? On the Wind Thunder Square, many people's expressions changed, looking at the sky in puzzlement. This aura, in the small building, the Moon Spirit Princess frowned slightly, looking at the sky through the thin veil. Her red lips slightly opened. Third uncle, what's the matter? Hearing the Moon Spirit Princess's words, everyone was stunned. Third uncle? That was a supreme divine nation, a quasi-emperor expert. The Moon Spirit Princess landed. In the sky, waves of emperor aura came. A serious voice sounded. A middle-aged man emerged from the void. Moon Spirit, did anyone just set foot on the 9th step of the Wind Thunder platform? 9th step? The Moon Spirit Princess frowned, shook her head, and said softly, No one reached the top of the 9th step, but one person set foot on the 8th step. 8th step? The quasi-emperor's voice suddenly lost interest. A somewhat puzzled voice sounded. Strange. Why? I clearly sensed a strong reaction from the wind and lightning platform of 9 steps. The middle-aged man frowned, full of majesty between his brows. He looked at the 9th step, but he felt that it was very strange. There were indeed traces of no one setting foot on the 9th step. However, he clearly sensed the movement of the wind and thunder in the palace just now. But why? Forget it. The middle-aged man sighed, and his figure slowly disappeared. How could he know that for Ning Tian, who had the heavenly god body, the first step was exactly the 9th step? Therefore, it seemed that no one had set foot on it. Leaving the Wind Thunder Square, Ning Tian was satisfied. Without anyone knowing, he took away the comprehension of the Wind Thunder Way on the 9th step. Ancestral Master, where are we going now? Without outsiders, Zhu Yuanbua habitually called Ning Tian Ancestral Master. The main thing was that the current Ancestral Master, whose alias was Ning Shuai, was really not handsome. Go find your horse and take a look at the Divine Land City. Ning Tian pondered for a while and said, Okay. Zhu Yuanbua felt sad when he thought of his horse, but Ancestral Master, why did you refuse the Moon Spirit Princess? Zhu Yuanbua looked at Ning Tian. He still couldn't figure out this question. Are you stupid? Are you crazy? Ning Tian rolled his eyes at him. You want to climb to the top of the 8th step and have a meal with me? How can it be so simple? You mean the Moon Spirit Princess is cheating? Zhu Yuanbo was puzzled. I don't know if she is cheating or not, but she must have other intentions. Ning Tian shook his head slightly. However, as for what she is thinking, I don't have time to play with her. Oh, I see. Zhu Yuanbo suddenly understood. He smiled and gave Ning Tian a thumbs up. You are indeed the ancestral master. You can even think of such a problem. I am really. Stop flattering me. Hurry up and find your horse. Ning Tian rolled his eyes at him. Hee, okay. Zhu Yuanbo smiled. Then, the two walked toward the Divine Land City. Chapter 146. At night, the full moon hung high in the sky. The Divine Land City at night was still bustling with people and carriages. Lanterns were hung up, lighting up the entire city. Wind and rain in. In the room, Ning Tian sat cross-legged. Although the two still couldn't find the two missing horses during the day, they took the opportunity to understand the general situation of the Divine Land City. Divine Land City. The center of the city was a forbidden area. No outsiders were allowed to enter. That was the royal palace of the Divine Land. The Heavenly Treasure Auction would be held at the Heavenly Treasure Pavilion in the west of Divine Land City. This was the Heavenly Treasure Sacred Lands Development Force. I hope that the two herbs I want can be found in the auction tomorrow. I can't come here for nothing. A sigh sounded. However, it's not a wasted trip. At least, I got the wind and thunder Dao. On the bed, Ning Tian's lips curled up, his eyes shining. He raised his hand slightly, and a blue dragon swam between his fingers. This was the wind and thunder Dao. Using thunder to create everything, using wind to shape its nature. Divine Land City, forbidden area of the royal palace. Moon Reflection Pavilion. Moon Spirit Princess and the old woman sat in the main hall. Master Nanyan, have you found anything about Marshal Ning? Moon Spirit Princess asked. The old woman shook her head. No. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't find anything about Marshal Ning. There's no such person in any of the sections. It's like he appeared out of thin air. No? Moon Spirit Princess frowned. Could it be that he's from one of those hidden sects? That's impossible. The old woman denied it without thinking. She shook her head. Those hidden sects will only appear when the ancient road to godhood appears. At other times, those old guys won't let their disciples out. Is that so? Moon Spirit Princess frowned. Then that's it for now. Have you found his address? Yes, he lives in Wind and Rain Inn. Okay, I'll visit him personally when I have time. Moon Spirit Princess squinted her eyes. He's the only one who reached rank 8 in all these years. Since he can reach rank 8, he should be able to go to that place. It shouldn't be a problem. The old woman nodded. Yes. Oh right, Master Nanyan. Where's that girl Yuqin? At this moment, Princess Moon Spirit thought of something. That girl? The old woman smiled and then shook her head helplessly. That girl. It's rare for her to leave the sect. Who knows where she went crazy? Master, you can't secretly speak ill of others. At this moment, a playful voice sounded from outside the pavilion. Then, a young girl slowly walked in. She was the girl who had stolen the 2 afterimage storm horses during the day. Junior apprentice Sister Yuqin, have you been playing all day? The Moon Spirit Princess smiled at the young girl, her eyes filled with love. This was her youngest junior sister. Naturally, he had to pamper her well. Haha, I didn't play for a whole day. Yuqin chuckled and threw herself into the Moon Spirit Princess's arms. Senior Sister Moon Spirit, I miss you so much. Senior brother and the others are so bad, forcing me to practice this and that every day. Yuqin's small face scrunched up, looking aggrieved. Good girl. The Moon Spirit Princess took her into her arms and chuckled. Don't worry, when I return to the sect, I will definitely help you beat them up. Hee, senior sister is the best. Yuqin chuckled. Suddenly, Yuqin seemed to have discovered a secret. She exclaimed in surprise. Senior sister, I haven't seen you for a few months, but you seem to have grown a lot. You little girl, don't talk nonsense. A blush appeared on the Moon Spirit Princess's pretty face. Her eyes were filled with shame and anger as she rolled her eyes at Yuqin. I'm not talking nonsense. I clearly felt it. It was so hot and big. Yuqin gestured very seriously. Seeing this, the moon spirit princess helplessly face-palmed. By the way, senior sister. At this moment, Yuqin seemed to have thought of something, and a sly look flashed in her eyes. I brought you a gift. A gift? The moon spirit princess was stunned. Yes. Yuqin nodded excitedly. Then, the storage ring on her finger flashed with a faint light. A jade pot appeared in her hand. Then, a fragrance wafted out. It smells so good. The moon spirit princess's eyes flashed. Smelling this fragrance, even the old woman who was fasting couldn't help but salivate. Yuqin, what is this? The moon spirit princess couldn't help but ask. It's just heavenly spirit mushroom horse meat stew. Yuqin smiled mysteriously. It seemed that she was very confident in her dish. Senior sister, this dish is definitely better than the ones made by your palace's chefs. This is made with the meat of a Gale afterimage horse. It will definitely taste good. Gale afterimage horse? Hearing this, the moon spirit princess was stunned for a moment and looked at her suspiciously. I remember. Isn't this Gale afterimage horse quite rare? How did you get it? I hunted it. Yuqin stammered and hurriedly evaded the question. The moon spirit princess didn't pursue the matter. Instead, she teased. I didn't expect that a little girl like you would turn into a horse hunter. A sly look flashed in Yuqin's eyes. Then, she urged, Senior martial sister and master, quickly give it a try. Okay. The moon spirit princess and the old woman both nodded. Then, they took the chopsticks handed to them by Yuqin, gently picked up the horse meat, and put it into their mouths. The aroma filled their nostrils. The meat was firm. The juices burst on the tip of their tongues. Not bad. The moon spirit princess' eyes widened, and a trace of astonishment flashed in her beautiful eyes. This thing was even better than the dishes made by the supreme chefs of the divine kingdom. Not bad. The old woman nodded and praised. I think this horse should be a good one. By the way, senior sister, did you find a suitable candidate? At this moment, Yuqin seemed to have thought of something and asked, I found one. Oh? What kind of person is he? The moon spirit princess thought for a moment and said, He's an extremely ugly person. Ugly? Yuqin was stunned. She seemed to have thought of something. It couldn't be those two people, could it? This was bad. The next day, the sun rose. The entire Divine Land City was once again bustling with noise and excitement. That was because today was the day of the Divine Treasure Auction. Many major forces from the celestial spirit realm had already gathered in Divine Land City. They were all here to try their luck at the Divine Treasure Auction. In the Rainstorm Tavern. Bang! Zhu Yuanbo rolled heavily from the bed to the ground. However, he was still indifferent and snoring loudly. Looking at Zhu Yuanbo, who was still sleeping after being kicked by him, he could not help but shake his head helplessly. This guy was too good at sleeping, wasn't he? Then, he squatted down and spoke into Zhu Yuanbo's ears. You found your horse. Why aren't you getting up? You found your horse? Where is it? Zhu Yuanbo suddenly woke up. He wiped the saliva from the corner of his mouth and looked at Ning Tian in confusion. Ancestral Master, where is my Storm Shadow horse? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.